And chat, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to Root Double Before Crime After Days. We are continuing Before Crime today. Load for you. Oh, has it really been 2.5 weeks already? Huh. Man, time is weird. Okay. Alright. Mashiro made dinner that day, just like any other day. Everyone sat around the table. The only difference today was the addition of Solyu. The conversation was shockingly sparse. Mashiro asked Solyu various questions, but only received short, blunt answers. Yuri was here too, but Solyu basically didn't speak to her. Same with Natsuhiko. And thus dinner ended without any improvement to the awkward atmosphere. Okay, you three, I better be heading home soon. Yeah, thanks again for today. See you tomorrow, Mashiron. Yeah. After Solyu gave a non-committal response, Mashiro sent her a fleeting glance and then spoke. So, Natsuhiko, do you mind walking me back for just a bit? We gotta gossip. Huh? That's odd. You usually don't ask me to. Right as Natsuhiko began to talk. Take a hint. I want to talk to you about Solyu's situation. Mashiro continued by means of telepathy. Yeah, you're right. Okay. Thanks. Natsuhiko nodded and left the house with Mashiro. Oh boy, things sure have taken an unexpected turn, huh? Mashiro said with a wry smile as they left the entryway. You can say that again. You don't like it, Natsuhiko? Why would he like it? I'm not particularly bothered by it, personally. I'm just worried about how Yuri feels about it. Of course. I'm just worried the sudden change in environment could open up old wounds for Yuri. I hope she's okay. Naturally, Mashiro was also aware of how Yuri's past experiences prevented her from going outside. Mashiro and Natsuhiko had consulted each other from time to time and agreed to quietly watch over her. But, it might be rash of me to think this, but maybe it'll actually be beneficial for her in that regard? Huh? What do you mean? Just as a reminder, when it comes to choices involving Solyu, I'll inform you until you get her second flag. Gotcha. If nothing changes, Yuri will never be able to rejoin society. And to be honest, I really think that's a bad thing for her. Indeed. Yeah. But living with Solyu means she gets to come in contact with people besides us, see? Okay. Okay. Then what am I choosing here? Everyone high? All high. Okay. Cool. But living with Solyu, I think that'll be a plus for Yuri. And maybe even the professor brought Solyu here with that same intention. I don't think she cares. I wonder. Natsuhiko could only halfway agree with that assessment. Mashiro's reasoning made sense, but he didn't expect that sort of thoughtfulness from his cold mother. True, Yuri didn't really look like she was that against it. Hopefully that's the case. Well, let's just settle into it. I'll be there to help in my own way. I see. I'm sorry you had to get involved in all this too, Mashiro. Nah, it's fine, it's fine. More importantly, I'm worried about how Solyu feels too, not just Yuri. How Solyu feels? I mean, look, that poor girl's probably nervous, don't you think? I mean, she's been so quiet. I don't think she's had much socialization over the course of her life. Huh, nervous? Was that what it looked like to you? Well, yeah. All things said and done, she's still just a 13-year-old girl, you know? Of course she'd be nervous when told she has to live with an older boy. Go talk to her some more so she can relax a bit, okay? I guess you're right. Natsuhiko couldn't bring himself to agree, but for now he decided to just go along with what she said. Okay, I guess I'll give it a shot. That answer again? No, it's not like I'm trying to just blow you off or anything. Nah, it's okay. I'm counting on you. Well, see you tomorrow, Natsuhiko. Yeah, later. Mashiro patted Natsuhiko on the shoulder before walking off into the night. Geez, she's so soft-hearted. That was also one of Mashiro's good points, but when it comes to me, it gets kind of difficult, he muttered before heading back to the house. But then, what's difficult? A voice called out from the darkness of the entryway, startling Natsuhiko. Right, she's got the ferret. How long have you been there, Salyu? I just came out, since you were taking so long to get back. Did you hear my conversation with Mashiro? No, not at all. Really now? Natsuhiko had some doubts, but he couldn't read anything out of Salyu's expression. Nah, it was a pretty dumb conversation anyway. Something about how you're oh so cute. Natsuhiko, that is the wrong tack to take. Natsuhiko tried to gloss things over, but immediately... The ferret speaks! The stuffed animal in Salyu's arms squealed. What? Natsuhiko was once again startled. At the same time, Salyu's expression stiffened. Salyu, did that thing just squeal? What of it? Salyu answered, as if it were only natural for it to squeal like that. What of it? Is there some sort of trick behind that thing? I mean, is it not a real ferret? Salyu abruptly spoke in Natsuhiko's confusion. Natsuhiko, you're keeping your guard up around me, aren't you? Huh? No, I wouldn't say that. That would be upsetting. I was sent here to protect you, after all. Really? Huh? You protect me? Hold on a second. Why would you have to protect me? The professor asked. Mom did? No, but still, I mean, what exactly would you have to protect me from? I'm not exactly a VIP or anything. The professor said it's dangerous around here lately. There's no telling what he could get dragged into or when. What? Natsuhiko honestly couldn't understand Salyu's words or his mother's intentions. Salyu may have been good at sports and studies, but she would be the last person you'd imagine to be a bodyguard. Why do I have to be protected by a girl like you? Isn't it normally the other way around? Not like I have any obligation to protect you, though. It's not like I have any obligation to protect you, either. Not following you here. What exactly could I get dragged into in the first place? The moment he started to speak, Natsuhiko suddenly remembered what happened yesterday. Salyu was there at the scene of Ukita's accident. Strange things might start happening around you from now on. But for now, just please be careful. Come to think of it, Mr. Ukita did say that. Natsuhiko couldn't help but feel that those words in that situation had something to do with all this. Don't tell me that Salyu's arrival could have been one of those strange things Mr. Ukita was talking about? Or did he mean that even stranger things were going to start occurring? Did Salyu come here to protect Natsuhiko when that time came? Salyu, does Mom think I'm going to get into some sort of danger? I don't know the particulars either. I was just told to protect you. Salyu answered indifferently. Did she really not know the details, or did she merely not feel like answering? Natsuhiko couldn't even tell. Anyway, Natsuhiko, you should just let me protect you. If you put up your guard around me, it makes my work difficult. Alright, for you, Save. What are we doing here? Saw you high? Hi. Okay, cool. And it makes me feel bad when you're unkind to me. Stop. I'm sorry about that. Natsuhiko was overwhelmed by her persuasive power. She was sent here to protect me? What's this girl saying? Natsuhiko gazed at Solyu, not quite understanding what was going through her head. Ellipsis conversation. But she showed no intention of talking whatsoever. Should I try to ask her what she means? Would she even humor me with an answer, though? As Natsuhiko mulled over his choices, Solyu abruptly spoke up. Natsuhiko. Huh? You like stars? Stars? Solyu pointed up. And sure enough, there were countless stars floating up above, like every night. Well, I guess a city like this would have a lot of light pollution. I don't really like them or hate them, to be honest. I see. So what does the... Solyu cut Natsuhiko off before he could finish. What's the meaning of the name Natsuhiko? Come again? Natsuhiko stumbled over his words like a fool in light of her barrage of questions. I dunno. I'm not even sure if there is a meaning behind it. Natsu is summer. Were you born in the summer? Yeah, in June. What about it? I see. You've missed about 10 minutes of the stream, Zap, don't worry. A somehow tense silence fell between them. Solyu ignored Natsuhiko's bewilderment and subtly continued the conversation. All that's happened is an uncomfortable dinner, a conversation with Mashiro about Yuri having benefits from being around Solyu, and now Solyu and I are having an uncomfortable conversation. We're apparently being protected by Solyu. All names have some sort of meaning behind them. There's no such thing as a meaningless name. Is that how it works? That's how it works. You people have quite meaningful names. You people, huh? What do you mean? You haven't noticed? Well, I guess it is just a coincidence. No, I haven't noticed a thing. Yeah, spill it. He didn't understand her in the slightest. Even the nickname Solyu has meaning. I don't think Mashiro noticed at all, but it's pronounced the same as Salut, which means hi in French. Okay, so it's not Solyu, it's Salut. Is S-A-L-U-T pronounced Solyu? Hang on. Salut pronunciation.
Salut.
Salut, okay. Bring chat back. A salutation, the beginning of communication. Ah, that's right. That was all news to him, but he wasn't going to let her know that. As a further aside, it also sounds similar to the word Sairuyu in Japanese, meaning tear rain. Sairuyu? You've never heard of it? Never in my life. You're so ignorant. I thought you were Japanese. The sudden disparagement annoyed Natsuhiko. What the hell's going on? Can we get this conversation over with already? The moment that thought crossed Natsuhiko's mind, the ferret read it. Salu's stuffed animal let out a weirder cry than before. Is the ferret psychic? Salu gasped when she heard it. Why did she gasp? Salu looked at the utterly confused Natsuhiko with gloomy eyes. If you'll excuse me, I have to do my daily routine. Wait! Salu ignored Natsuhiko and darted back inside. What? What just happened? Natsuhiko was at his wit's end. There's supposed to be an apostrophe in there after the S, not understanding a lick of what occurred. And it didn't look like you could find an answer just by thinking about it. The questions only piled up. So in the end, he never heard what exactly she meant by protecting him. But still, honestly, what's with that girl? Salu's attitude was the same as when they parted ways at the Parapsychology Research Center earlier that day. Natsuhiko stood alone at the entryway, pondering Salu's words. But still, protect me how? Salu's words were most likely not being made out of the kindness of her heart. She appeared to only be begrudgingly following Dr. Tenkawa's orders. Why did Mom really order Salu to do that? After all, Rokume City excelled in public order. Very rarely did anyone get dragged into a crime. But even so, there was something that bothered him. Excuse me. Now that I think about it, Mr. Ukita's part of Labo's staff. He's Mom's coworker. What if that car crash wasn't an accident? What if some circumstances are causing those with connections to Labo to be targeted? He considered the thought for a moment, but he couldn't think of any rationale behind it. Why did the professor give neither Natsuhiko nor Salu a proper explanation? Furthermore, did Salu really come just to protect Natsuhiko? It's no use. I don't understand a thing. Natsuhiko muttered to himself and quit trying to think about it. Doesn't look like there's going to be any real harm done, so I'll just leave things as they are. If thinking won't solve something, then just try not to think about it. That was the mantra of Natsuhiko's lifestyle. I disagree. But even so, Natsuhiko had a faint worry in the back of his mind. The worry that events he couldn't see were slowly coming to a head. Natsuhiko took a quick look at his watch and realized it was already past 8 p.m. He pulled himself together and hopped back through the entryway into his home. In the living room, Natsuhiko saw no sign of Salu. Instead, he found Yuri quietly reading a book. So wait, Yuri, if you don't leave the house, where do you get all the books? Do you order them? Are you spending thousands of dollars on books a year? Or does the local library bring you books on the regular? Welcome back, Hikarin. Did you walk Mashiron home properly? Huh? Oh, yeah, I did. Okay, good. Yuri's casual tone of voice was a relief to Natsuhiko. I mean, I get that she might be ordering them. That's just, she's reading multiple books per day. Every day. All year long. And if she's buying those, That's thousands of dollars. Libraries do offer home delivery services? Really? Maybe it's just because I'm used to a small town library? Do city libraries deliver books to you? Interesting. Yuri's casual tone of voice was a relief to Natsuhiko. A lot happened today, but it's a huge relief that Yuri's the same as always. All his worries and weariness were washed away with one look at Yuri's smile. Natsuhiko returned her smile and sank into the sofa. How'd you spend your day today, Yuri? You work at the post office and you have library books come through in a specific bag. And that's not interlibrary loan deliveries, that's being delivered to people at home? Interesting. How'd you spend your day today, Yuri? Same as yesterday. I did a little knitting and read 2 books from a series. A series? What kind of story is it? Let's see. It's a heartfelt series of romance novels. It's written in the format of the protagonist writing down his own memories of the past. The opening line was quite impressive. Memories are ambiguous. It really drew me in. Memories are ambiguous? Yeah, according to the protagonist himself, people tend to rewrite their own memories unconsciously. And so even this story itself is not necessarily the truth. Isn't it interesting for a romance novel to begin like that? Yeah, though it sounds a tad perplexing. But you know, as you continue the story, you learn that it really is like that. Memories are never reliable. You could end up recalling something completely different depending on your current situation and mental state. Huh, does that really happen? Of course it does. For example, let's say someone was deeply in love. As long as that love endured, their memory of their lover might be radiant. But if that love were to end, those memories could turn bitter, couldn't they? True, that does sound plausible. I've never experienced it myself, so I can't say for sure, though. When was the Mandela effect properly documented? It came into public knowledge as a common thing in 2013 when Nelson Mandela died, and a bunch of people who thought that he died in the 80s in prison assumed that they weren't simply not paying attention and instead started believing that they were interdimensional mind hoppers. This was released before it. Well, she's not describing the Mandela effect. She's describing simply memories being unreliable. The Mandela effect comes from people's memories being unreliable, but it's specifically people thinking they world hopped. True, that does sound plausible. I've never experienced it myself, so I can't say for sure, though. It's not just romance, though. The same happens in casual, everyday events, don't you think? Sometimes you can mix up things that you said with things that someone else said, right? I know that feeling. Mashiro and I often argue whether I said this or she said that. Right? And so, eventually, the protagonist of this story becomes aware that each time he recalls his own past, his memories get subtly rewritten. Even if the truth doesn't change, feelings do. There is no absolute truth. The past is a haze of ambiguity. So not even the protagonist himself knows which memories are real. But... that's all I've read so far, saving the rest for tomorrow. I see. Even Yuri was confusing him now. Natsuhiko's shoulders drooped. She softly smiled and continued. But still, even though we don't know the end of the story, it feels like a hopeful one, doesn't it? Hopeful because memories are ambiguous. Yeah, memories may change, but even so, wouldn't it be nice if one day all memories, sweet and bitter ones alike, could change into something beautiful? Her words sounded more than just a simple impression of a novel. But her expression was unexpectedly calm, which relieved Natsuhiko as he answered. I really gotta know, why do you wear the maid hat all day long, Yuri? I have to know. Your costuming is so bizarre. You're right, that really would be nice. I know, right? But still, Yuri, you really like talking about stuff like memories, don't you? Well, she's wearing a maid outfit, so the only thing I can describe that as is a maid hat. You've talked about a novel like that before, too, haven't you? One where all the characters had completely different testimonials of what happened during the same event. Yeah, I love that topic. Just a tiny change in memory could make you and someone else have completely different impressions of the same thing. Relevant to After Days. Now that she mentioned it, Natsuhiko noticed that he and Mashiro had completely contrary impressions of Salou. That reminds me, I haven't directly asked Yuri about her yet, have I? It's more vaguely maid-like than a straight-up maid outfit. Either way, it's part of the character designers catering to horny weebs. That reminds me, I haven't directly asked Yuri about her yet, have I? And with that thought in mind, Natsuhiko asked her with a sigh. Say, Yuri, since we're talking about impressions and all. Huh? What's up? What do you think about Salou? Huh, what's this all of a sudden? Hikari, do you have something against Salou? No, nothing like that. It's just, I was wondering if you were okay with us suddenly getting a new addition to the household. I'm okay, but I'm more worried about Salou. She seems nervous to me. Supposed to be in the vein of the Japanese Lolita, Gothic Lolita type of fashion? I suppose. Hey, Hikari, try to be friends with Salou, like how you became friends with me. Alright, let's save. Yes. What do we got? Yuri. Yuri, hi? Da-da-da. Yes. Cool. Like how I became friends with you. That was a story from long, long ago. But do you remember it accurately? Natsuhiko's brain became filled with memories of those days. He felt as if time itself were melting away as he recalled the memory of the day he and Yuri first met. That day was nearly 10 years ago. On that day alone, all of Natsuhiko's playmates were busy, including Mashiro. What a waste of a Sunday. Natsuhiko went and played by himself in the park, bored. And that was when he met Yuri, who was doing the same. Excuse me. For some reason, tears were spilling down her face. She was so quiet, yet so sad. Upon seeing her, Natsuhiko got concerned and asked her, Hey, why are you crying? What? That was the first conversation Natsuhiko and Yuri ever had, And that noise she made colored every interaction they had for the rest of their lives. Who are you? I'm Natsuhiko. Natsuhiko? You're Yuri Kotono, right? Your family just moved in nearby. Yeah. Let's be friends. We live in the same neighborhood after all. Can we? Huh? Are we not allowed to be friends? I mean, I'm a Nesper. A Nesper? Oh, you mean a communicator? Yeah. Are communicators not allowed to be friends with non-communicators? I see. So? Huh? I might end up reading people's feelings, you know? You're not scared? Well, no, not really. Anyway, hey, let's go play together. Thank you. And then the two of them started to play together, though they weren't quite sure what they could play with just the two of them. They started off only playing simple games like Hoop Hopscotch and S-Can. But just hopping up and down on the lawn brought a smile to Yuri's face. Whew, you're pretty good at this, Yuri. That's not true. You're a lot better than me at these games, Natsuhiko. He didn't say he wasn't better. He just said you were good. But it really gets you tired, huh? Let's take a break. The days when making friends was that easy. Yeah. Man, I don't even know how to make friends offline anymore. Like, I don't go anywhere. I don't have the opportunity to go to, like, card shops and play games, and I don't drink, so I don't go to bars. So, basically, all my friends that I've made in the last 10 years are online. Yeah. The two of them sat down together on the grass. Natsuhiko took a deep breath and asked Yuri a question. By the way, Yuri, why'd you move to this town? Daddy said it'd be best for me. Huh? He said there are tons of Nespers in Rokume City. He said I wouldn't be creepy here. Did he use that word? That reminded Natsuhiko. His mother had told him that this town had far more communicators than other towns. That's true. I apparently have the attitude for it too. Huh? Natsuhiko, are you a communicator too? Yeah, apparently. I can't use telepathy yet, though. I see. Actually, me neither. Aha! We're the same, then! Natsuhiko laughed. Yuri smiled in reply. And besides, it's not just me. This girl I know, Mashiro, she's one too. She has super high attitude, too. There's lots of communicators in this town. So much they're nothing out of the ordinary. Remind me, have we found out why Yuri doesn't leave the house? It was the fire at Labo, was it? No, it was something else. It was the fire, okay. So you're not going to creep anyone out, okay, Yuri? Not even you, Natsuhiko? Of course not. Promise? I promise, okay? You're such a worrywart, Yuri. Natsuhiko smiled, and Yuri smiled back in return. Thank goodness. I was actually super nervous. Huh, what for? I was worried I couldn't make friends after moving. I didn't think that I could. But we're friends already, aren't we? Yep. Lots of kids come to this park. If you come here, you'll make lots of other friends, too. Thank you. I'll come here lots. After all, I made friends with you my first time here. Yuri said only that much before suddenly making a face as if she had suddenly remembered something. Ah, that reminds me. Natsuhiko, why did you call out to me? You've never met me before, and I'm a girl, too. Well, he surrounds himself with girls, apparently. Huh? Well, just 'cause. Huh? Just 'cause? Yuri seemed a little disappointed. But Natsuhiko lied. The real reason was because he saw Yuri crying. That's why he called out to her. Because he wanted to be there for her. And for these past 10 years, he always had been. Once he had remembered that day, he finally became self-aware of the reason why he had his guard up around Salou. I see, so that's what it was. I'm afraid of Mom and Salou trying to change my current life. This home was a place of peace for Natsuhiko, a safe haven from all the evils that threatened to break Yuri's fragile heart. Natsuhiko had already almost lost that refuge once, only barely managing to recover it. He'd been fervently protecting it ever since. Okay, so Salou high, Yuri high, Natsuhiko high? Natsuhiko medium and Yuri low. Interesting. Okay. Okay, cool. He didn't like the feeling of an outsider stepping foot into his sanctuary, which was why he was putting such an emphasis on Yuri's feelings in the present situation. Wait, I did put Yuri low, right? That was Yuri and not Salou? Say, Yuri, you don't have any objections to Salou living here, do you? Nope. What about you, Hikarin? Salou's super cute. Are you sure you're not just nervous to be living under the same roof as a girl like her? She is too young for him. Well, yeah, normally that might be something to be happy about, but... True enough, Salou's facial features were well proportioned like that of a doll. Under different circumstances, sure, I may have been happy about it, but still. You're unhappy? No, it's just... something's just been bugging me. That girl says a bunch of strange things. Strange things? Like what? She said she's here to protect me. Doesn't that seem kind of backwards to you? At those words, Yuri made an odd smile. Oh, and then suddenly spoke in a quiet voice. Hikarin, you shouldn't assume the worst of people. Huh? I'm sure Salou's being honest. Those words startled Natsuhiko. What? Something's different about Yuri, just like yesterday. She suddenly spoke with a serious look on her face. She never used to do that in the past. She seemed almost like an entirely different person. Yuri continued, staring straight into Natsuhiko's confused eyes. When Salou was assigned to protect you, she had finally found a role for herself. Ah, this is present Yuri butting in on his memories. That was something she always wanted. What? Yuri, why do you sound like you've known Salou from somewhere before? Don't tell me you've known each other from the start. If that were the case, then he'd easily understand why she wasn't at all disturbed by Salou's sudden move in. But Yuri silently shook her head. No, I only met her just now, in the same way you did, Hikarin. But I can tell. Salou high? Salute high. Okay, cool. Yeah, red choice. Red choice. Which is usually reserved for situations where you can die. But I can tell. How? How indeed? Have you forgotten she's psychic and can read minds, Natsuhiko? But I'm sure Salute is on your side, Hikari. On my side? It's hard to believe that so suddenly. Excuse me, I guess that's true. Yuri smiled sadly as she said so. This is one of the rare times you can get a bad ending in Route B. If you have 0 points with Salute, you immediately go to the bad ending. Ha! Fun. Both you and I have lived in fear of change, after all. But one day, we have to accept it, or else we'll be trapped in the past forever. I don't know if Yuri can read minds right now. She told Natsuhiko as much in the flashback. She fell silent. The only sound in the still room was the ticking of the hands on the wall clock. Clock? Natsuhiko gasped. That's right. Yesterday, when Yuri started talking with this tone of voice, your watch was broken. He looked at his watch, only to find it had broken before he had realized it. No way. Natsuhiko looked at his watch and stared in disbelief. The dial had cracked. The hands were stopped, and the date displayed was days into the future. 9/16. 6/19. Yes, she specialized that she's specified that she was an empath. Early morning, 5 days from today. Why? Yuri continued despite Natsuhiko's terror. Hey, Hikari, no matter how many things make no sense around you, no matter how many things seem suspicious, no matter what's the truth and what's a lie, you should be in the company of those with good intentions, shouldn't you? So don't distrust those around you. If you must distrust someone, then distrust me. Ooh. And with that, Yuri turned around and left the living room. Yuri? Wait, what do you mean? What indeed? Natsuhiko chased after Yuri, placed his hand on the living room door, and opened it. The jammed gate opened with a jarring sound. Ah! Before Natsuhiko could think, he tumbled over from the excess momentum. And he knocked his back against the floor. Ow, ow, ow! Natsuhiko, are you okay? Mashiro called out to him. Salute silently looked down on him. Natsuhiko was confused for a second as to what was going on. That's right, I was trying to escape from Labo. And after straining to wrench open a jammed gate, they had finally gotten it open. Yuri looked at Natsuhiko and anxiously spoke. Can you stand? Yeah. Natsuhiko got up and looked toward the gate. More importantly, let's go. Area 2's probably ahead. They all nodded and rushed towards Area 2. But still, Natsuhiko thought to himself. They were in such a desperate situation, yet Natsuhiko just spent a moment in deep reminiscence. Why now? Why am I remembering what happened these past few days? And in the blink of an eye, apparently. He vividly recalled what happened that day, as if time had rewound itself. He experienced with such clarity the conversation he had with Mashiro at the park, and the time Salou showed up at their house, too. No, this is no time to be looking toward the past. Concentrate on getting out of here. As soon as Natsuhiko had that thought, two bizarre silhouettes appeared further down the hall. Ooh! What are those? Natsuhiko and the others stopped in their tracks. The two shadows were unidentifiable people with their face hidden behind masks. They spoke as they headed towards the group. You kids sure as heck aren't staff members. What are you doing down here? It's the Yellow God. And you are? We're the rescue squad that received a distress call from Labo. Rescue squad? Natsuhiko breathed a sigh of relief upon hearing those words. Thank goodness. If we leave Yuri with these people, that's one thing off our minds. You kids must be survivors, right? Yeah, we happened to be down here by coincidence and got caught up in all this. Unless Yuri set us up the bomb. Anyone else with you? No, just the four of us. How many did you say? Yuri the hallucination? Just us four. We have a particularly frail girl with us. So can we entrust her to you? Understood. Let us see her real quick, and... As the rescue squad member spoke, he reached a hand out to Natsuhiko. When suddenly he found a foot lodged in his abdomen. Why'd you do that, Salou? The rescue worker collapsed onto the floor from the impact of the kick. Huh? Natsuhiko looked to the girl next to him in shock. It was Salou that had kicked the man. She looked at Natsuhiko with level-headed eyes. What are you doing? The other rescue worker grabbed at Salou's shoulder. Salou grabbed that hand, and not a second later, she hurled the man away. The rescue worker hit the floor and lost consciousness. Okay, so here's the question. So Wadase and crew could all see Yuri. Salou, Mashiro, and Natsuhiko can see Yuri. But the other rescue workers can't. Is Yuri even in Labo? Or maybe she's in Labo, but is the one who set us up the bomb. Radiation ghost. Yeah, I thought she was a psychic mushroom, but I guess she's a psychic ghost. The rescue worker hit the floor and lost consciousness. Salou, why? Salou responded to Mashiro's hollow voice with a huh. Natsuhiko, Mashiro, you guys are too soft. You let your guards down too quick. Huh? Why are you so quick to trust people? Salou's cold gaze. One look from her, and Natsuhiko was instantly reminded of a sight he once saw. Those same eyes she had when they first met. Those gazing eyes that looked at Natsuhiko expressionlessly from within the onlookers at the car crash. No, they were reaching out to touch Natsuhiko because they couldn't see Yuri. Natsuhiko said there were 4 kids here, and the rescue workers were responding like they couldn't see 4. They could only see 3. No, why? As soon as Natsuhiko had that thought, Yuri whispered from beside him. Excuse me. Hikarin, have you forgotten? Have you forgotten what sort of girl Salu is? Are we going into a flashback again? Huh? She's been with you all the way up to today, hasn't she? Do you not understand the truth hidden behind her words? You can take your time, but I want you to remember what is real and what is a lie. Hikarin, you should already know who it is you must trust. He could not grasp the true intention of those words. Maybe one of the others isn't there? Okay. So, Natsuhiko and Salu are there. Like, clearly. Clearly. Because they both just interacted with the rescue workers. Did Mashiro interact with the rescue workers? I don't think she did. No, it was only Natsuhiko and Salu. But Mashiro is probably there because she's part of Natsuhiko's close friendship. And we saw at the end of After Days, Mashiro lying, dying on the ground elsewhere in the facility. So Mashiro is here. And it's suspicious that Watase and the others found Yuri in exactly the same situation as she was in the older fire in Labo. So maybe Yuri wasn't with either group. But where is she? Did she set us up the bomb? Or is she the radiation ghost that's causing all the particle leaks from Area N? So why did Yuri appear dead to Watase? Interesting. Yuri's the gun zombie, yeah. No, I think we know who the gun zombie is. He could not grasp the true intention of those words. The answer lies in your memories, the memories of that day. As soon as those words left Yuri's lips, Natsuhiko saw his watch in the corner of his eye. The tiny numbers on the dial were almost bizarrely clear and distinct. 4 days in the past. 9/12, 6:39. What happened on that day? Natsuhiko tried to confirm what Yuri meant, as he struggled to form his thoughts into words. Dreams and reality. Natsuhiko sprung up in bed. Huh? For a second, he couldn't tell where he was. He was apparently not lying in his bed. He took a look around before coming to the slow realization that he was in his room. His heart was still thumping hard. That same dream again. Every so often, Natsuhiko would wake up from a nightmare like this. But every time he'd wake up, he'd forget about the particulars of the nightmare. It probably had something to do with that day 9 years ago. Or perhaps the day 4 days in the future. What a way to start the morning. Natsuhiko shook his head in frustration before changing and leaving the room. September 12th chapter. 4 days until the incident. When he got to the living room, Yuri and Salu were already there. Tips to read from chapter 2. Okay, let's read those then. Tips is G. Okay. Nope, don't want a quick game. Tips is G. Government-designated top-secret city. A top-secret city dedicated to the advancement of BC research, the protection of communicators, and the promotion of correct BC knowledge. In accordance with the enactment of BC law, 6 such cities were designated by the BC Research Special Committee. The flow of people in and out of each such city is strictly regulated under the pretense of protecting communicators from persecution and preventing industrial spies from stealing BC research results. Each street that passes into a top-secret city has an inspection gate. Though they are not at the level of closed city secrecy in the way Pripyat was not found on maps until after the Chernobyl nuclear reactor disaster, from an outside perspective, these cities do appear to have some similar aspects. Regardless, these government-designated top-secret cities were a success, and, at present, over 90% of communicators live in them. However, not all residents outside of Rokame City see its tax reductions and other benefits as positives. Some cynically see the benefits as a sign that the city is a biased ward for the preferential treatment of communicators. Advanced BC Nation refers to a nation with a deep understanding of communicators that maintains communicator protective services and produces significant BC research results. Japan heads the list on such nations, with its efforts to gather its communicators into the protection of 6 government-designated top-secret cities that have provided environments conducive to smooth BC research. Opposition to communicators in BC is strong in the West, so even if they were to establish similar locations, they would be unable to conduct public BC research. Opposition is particularly strong in France, with demonstrations calling for the extermination of BC continuing to this day. Yikes! BC law. A law that was passed on December 12, 2015, and went into effect on April 1, 2016, to protect the human rights of communicators. Its formal name is the BC Research Regulation and Communicator Human Rights Protection Law. The government became fearful of the possibility of communicator persecution in the aftermath of the Great Rokame City arson of September 2014, and, as a precaution, they rapidly enacted the law with the intention of spreading correct knowledge about BC throughout the cities. The main point of the law was that it established 6 government-designated top-secret cities nationwide to gather and protect the communicators. A BC Research Special Committee was formed from the Ministry of Health, Labour and Welfare, as well as the Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science and Technology. The committee was tasked to lead efforts in implementing the law, but while promoting correct understanding of BC was a noble cause, the committee did not quite understand BC themselves. The flustered and unsightly passing of the buck became a hot topic for variety shows and newspapers. Bayo Bayo, Episode 1 Commentary. If only I had psychic powers, I'd bring smiles to all their faces. Inspired by a program on psychic powers that they saw on TV, Kirara and her classmates try their hardest to bend spoons with their minds at school. At that moment, Kirara's pure wish becomes psychic power, and everyone's spoons start to bend one by one. Everyone's spoons except for Kirara's, that is. That was because her wish was to bring smiles to their faces, and not her own. The purpose of this scene is to foreshadow Kirara's top-class psychic powers, but it also paints a picture of the pure kindness of her spirit. Alright, any others? Alright, so... Labo. A nuclear research facility on the outskirts of Rokame City. Its full name is the 6th Laboratory of Atomic and Biological Organization. Though it is a nationally owned facility, Rokame City is entrusted with its control and management. Due to the fact that the facility is equipped with a small nuclear reactor for research purposes, and because of the need to protect the secrecy of important research related to national affairs, security is strict around the vicinity of Labo. You cannot even get within 10 kilometers of the facility without first passing through a security gate. And even if you sneak past the gate, the path to Labo is equipped with countless surveillance cameras, and further inside is a private task force above the law, equipped with rubber bullet guns. Though the entire thing may seem excessive, the fact remains that the government subsidies granted to Labo make Rokame a city that is easy to live in. None of the citizens seem to let it bother them, figuring to just let sleeping dogs lie. Oh, there was more to that episode summary? Hang on. Oh, there was. If only you could use psychic powers, you'd be able to bring smiles to everyone's faces, Mashiro mused as she smiled at Natsuhiko. That nonchalant remark probably meant, if Natsuhiko became able to use BC, I'm sure he'd use his powers for good. But if there ever comes a time where he ought to use his power for himself, he might hesitate to do so. When such a time comes, maybe I'll give him a little push from behind. A sentiment filled with Mashiro's pure kindness and consideration. Probably. Okay, Rokame Park. A nature park on the outskirts of Rokame City. The vast grounds have many amenities for citizens to relax, such as a grassy square, a pond with rental boats, a botanical garden, and a cycling course. It is a nostalgic place for Natsuhiko, as it's where he first met Yuri, and where he strangely got along with Mashiro after initially butting heads with her. It's still a suitable playground for children, as it was in the past, but there are several surveillance cameras set up among the greenery. They are installed as a precaution due to the park's proximity to a city gate, but since they are casually placed within the greenery, they have many blind spots. Cool. When he got to the living room, Yuri and Salu were already there. Good morning, Hikarin. Yuri greeted him with a warm smile. Salu, on the other hand, just looked at him silently. Yesterday still seemed hard to believe. A beautiful French-Japanese prodigy abruptly moved into his house. But apparently it was no dream. Okay, it is super weird that this game keeps going on about how beautiful the 13-year-old is. Like, that is so weird. But apparently it was no dream. Good morning, Yuri. Salu. Not used to greetings, Salu awkwardly attempted a reply. Morning. The moment Salu said that, Mashiro popped out of the kitchen. Good morning, Natsuhiko. Breakfast is just about ready. Help me prepare. Oh, sure. Mashiro seemed to be the same as always. Natsuhiko went through the motions of helping to prepare for breakfast. And soon enough, a small family-sized portion of French toast, salad, and some coffee was laid out on the table. I could go for some French toast. I tried matching today's breakfast, how it's done in Salu's home country. Is French toast French? I had always thought it was an American invention, like some other stuff that's named after other countries. Are French fries French? Or are they American? The salad has French dressing and the coffee is French roast. Where did you get this on short notice? It's all French style, huh? Looks delicious again today. French toast technically existed before France did. Interesting. Okay, everyone, put your hands together. Thanks for the food. And thus they began to eat, leaving Natsuhiko's bewilderment unresolved. Mashiro and Yuri were the same as always. But the addition of Salu made this no ordinary morning. That was what bewildered Natsuhiko. And then, after breakfast was over, Natsuhiko, Mashiro, and Salu had to go to school, so they turned the lights on their way out. Wait, did we just eat breakfast in the pre-dawn darkness? The three of them departed, leaving Yuri at home. Excuse me. The Great Illusion. Okay. When Mashiro and Natsuhiko entered the classroom with Salu, it stirred a commotion among their classmates. Huh? Tenkawa, why are you with Toba and Miss Sanamiya today? Excuse me. We just happened to get here at the same time. Natsuhiko's grandiose answer prompted a chuckle and a whisper from Mashiro. Wow, smooth save there, Mr. Natsuhiko. Okay, let's see what we have here. Salu High, right? Salu High, okay. Excuse me. You sure seem calm about it. We can't say anything unnecessary here. Unnecessary? Like how we're living together. Well, I guess it'll help the three of us get along if we make this our little secret. Our little secret, huh? The expression on Salu's face is just excellent consternation, with a little bit of disdain. Indeed, living together meant that it'd be best that they get along at least a little bit. However, Natsuhiko didn't think sharing a little secret was the best way to achieve that goal. Sure, I guess it's best to leave it a secret between the three of us for the time being, so we can avoid any misunderstandings. Okay, good. This is kinda exciting. Salu nodded at Mashiro's words. Natsuhiko sighed a little as he made it to his desk. French fries may have been invented in either Spain, France, or Belgium. Interesting. The first lesson of that day was parapsychology. Now then, today we'll review yesterday's field trip. We learned a lot of things we usually don't touch upon during our regular classes, didn't we? Well, you did. So, what did you all learn? Care to start, Mr. Natsuhiko Tenkawa? Huh? A devilish smile formed on Enna's face when she saw Natsuhiko's surprise to hear his name called out so suddenly. It appeared to be payback for him spacing out yesterday. But you were so nice yesterday. You're so mean, Professor. Yeah, like how about that link between the brain and BC that the staff member mentioned? Exactly! Research into the fields of BC and brain physiology are closely related. Enna tapped on her own head as she spoke. In short, BC is direct brain-to-brain communication. It incites stimuli in a third party's brain cells, causing the secretion of neurotransmitters. Other students began to raise their voices at those words. Huh? That's how it works? Oh, I'm sure we've gone over that in class. Well, you don't necessarily need to know the underlying principles in order to use BC, but there's no harm in learning, is there? In layman's terms, telepathy stimulates the parts of the brain responsible for hearing to produce the same response as if it were actually hearing it. Conversely, empathy works by catching thoughts that leak from other people's brains and interpreting them as spoken words. Okay. How much do your brainwaves leak out of your head, really? It would be more sensible if what happened was empathy scanned the brain and read the brain waves that were inside it. Well, I guess you'd have to be able to have brainwaves escape anyway. How would you detect brain... How do scientists detect brainwaves when they study the brain? Because that's a real thing that happens, is there are devices that detect brainwaves. Do they get brainwaves that leak out of your head? Huh. So either way, they're both kind of hallucinations? I mean, it does sound like actual sounds, but what really happens is that the information is directly conveyed to the brain, so... They're detecting electricity from the axons and dendrites in the brain cells. There's no waves. We just visualize them as waves in our instruments. Ah, gotcha. True, but since it's the brain perceiving the information, that might already make it a hallucination to begin with. Huh? What do you mean? Let's see. Do you all know what blind spots are? Blind spots? I have heard of them, but... Humans lack photoreceptors on the retina, where the optic nerve passes through it. You actually don't see anything there. You mean there's a blank spot in the middle of our vision? Natsuhiko couldn't quite follow what Ena was saying. I guess it is a little hard to explain in words, so instead I'll send you a figure so you can experience it firsthand. Ena fiddled with the computer to send image data to the students' tablet PCs. It was an image with just 2 black dots. Okay, so close your right eye and use your left eye to look at the dot on the right. Natsuhiko looked at the dot as instructed, and then slowly move your face closer to the screen. Once you're about 15 centimeters away, what happens? Ah! Natsuhiko couldn't help but exclaim. The dot that it could have sworn was there had disappeared. The other students appeared to have the same reaction, and the classroom broke into a commotion. Understand what happened, class? The black dot entered the left eye's dead spot. The dead spot is a place where the eye cannot see, or in other words, an empty space. A neurotransmitter fires from an axon, the outgoing part of a brain cell, once enough negative charge is built up to cause a charge to actually fire. The neurotransmitter crosses the empty space between it and the dendrite, the receiving part of a brain cell, which causes that cell to respond based on the type of neurotransmitter it received. We measure when that electrical charge transfers from one brain cell to another via that process. That's what we see as brain waves. Interesting. So we're not actually... Interesting. Humans cannot see anything inside those dead spots. I see. But that's kind of strange. How can we have a hole in our vision without normally being aware of it? It is strange, isn't it? That's because the brain automatically fills in the gap. It fills in the gap? Okay, next I'll send you an image to demonstrate how that works. And with that, Enna sent the students another image. It was a figure with a black line with a break on one side and a dot on the other. Same thing as last time. Close your right eye and use your left eye to look at the dot. As instructed, Natsuhiko closed his right eye and brought his face closer to the image. And when he did... Natsuhiko was surprised once again. Now the broken line appeared to be smooth and continuous. Oh, so it does! Cool! Interesting, isn't it? This is what I meant when I said the brain automatically fills the gap. Because of your blind spot, you can't see the part where the line is broken. But your brain functions automatically to fill in that gap. Furthermore, this is always happening, even when you're just looking at your environment normally. Natsuhiko finally realized. So the reason the line looked continuous was because that's how my brain filled in the gap, huh? Yeah, your brain's pattern recognition saw a line above and a line below the blind spot. And it said to itself, oh, there must be a line in between, so I'll fill that in. In other words, the brain apparently assumed that the line wouldn't suddenly just break there. It's obviously continuous. And in the same way, the brain is continuously or automatically filling in the dead spots. So that's why we're never consciously aware of our dead spots in everyday life. Understand, class? This is what I meant when I said that things the brain perceives are hallucinations to begin with. What lies before our eyes isn't exactly seen the way it actually is. Everything, without exception, is filtered by the brain before we perceive it. What we see isn't everything, and everything we see isn't necessarily real. So maybe everything she's saying is a hallucination as well. Well, it's a pretty educational hallucination. But it might have been a bit of a stretch to say that. Natsuhiko chuckled to himself. So, do you now understand that when the humans perceive their world, it has to be through their brain as a necessity? BC, as you all know, is communication directly influencing the brain. Theoretically, that influence isn't limited to the sense of hearing. Perhaps it's not limited to just telepathy and empathy either. God. Beaming the smell of ripped ass directly into the mind of someone you hate would be horrific. They can't escape it. If visual influencing telepathy exists, then perhaps taste-reading empathy could exist as well. Perhaps one can even convey the entire world one perceives to someone else. The possibilities of BC are endless, so keep training every day till you can open up a new path yourselves. Who knows? One day you may find a third ability beyond that of telepathy or empathy. Anna springboarded off that note to begin the actual lesson. The connection between the brain and BC, the parts of the brain that perceive BC, the theoretical mechanisms. She reached a good stopping point right as the bell rang. Class ended, and as they left into the hall, they heard the usual bizarre commotion. Miss Munakata, could you please give me your answer? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put you in such a tough spot. How many times do I have to tell you? You using telepathy is what's putting me in a tough spot. Come see me in person, and maybe then we can talk. But that's too high of a hurdle for me to reach. It's embarrassing. You've been confessing in front of the entire school. A little late to shy away now. You're such a weirdo, you know. Okay, let's get this started, Shin. Our secret training for directional telepathy. Okay, let's try it, Benizaki. Let's do this. Miss Anna's bust looks about 91 centimeters. How's that? Hear me? Loud and clear. Wait, crap. Now that I think about it, we can't tell if it's directional or not, if it's just the two of us. What? Mashiro started to talk as a way of actively ignoring the noise. Hey, Natsuhiko, that was an interesting lesson, wasn't it? Yeah, that's a first for parapsychology. But it was kind of odd, wasn't it? If it's all true, that means the world I see and the world you see could actually be completely different, doesn't it? Yeah, does everyone perceive the same red, I wonder? Does it? Visual and auditory hallucinations are an obvious example of how different people perceive things differently, right? Some people see things others don't see, or hear things other people don't hear. Yeah, that's true. Visual and auditory hallucinations are a category of brain activity. So, if those activities vary from person to person, then so too does perception. 8 billion people in the world have 8 billion brains, each perceiving 8 billion different worlds. We're at like 8.3 billion now, right? So by 2030 we'll probably be at 9 billion. Each of them perceives their own world as the world, but that world of theirs can perhaps at times become distorted. That's kind of a scary thought. For some reason, Natsuhiko felt a chill. So I guess in a certain sense, telepathy is a way to intentionally cause auditory hallucinations then. Well, there's a peculiarity to the way it sounds. You can tell it's telepathy, though. It'd be annoying if that weren't the case. You'd lose track of what's a real voice, what's an auditory hallucination, and what's telepathy. I wonder if Yuri can bypass that and make it sound like just hearing. So, does it echo? Does it have some weird distortion, or... If that were the case, though, would there be some concrete way of figuring out if something were a real voice or not? Mashiro casually remarked, and suddenly got a response from behind. No, there wouldn't. Hi, Salu. They turned around in shock, only to find that Salu had been standing behind them before they noticed her. You can't think of a way either, Salu. I can't because it doesn't exist. It's just as difficult as attempting to differentiate a real voice from an auditory hallucination. Huh, really? The brain at times believes that hallucinations are real. What do you think happens then? Salu switched her glance from Mashiro to Natsuhiko. Huh? What happens if you think that hallucinations are real? What would happen? I really don't know. Wouldn't a hallucination still be a hallucination, though? Wouldn't you feel fear if you heard or saw something out of the ordinary? No. The air seemed to creak the moment Salu cut in. The moment the brain decides to believe it, The person hallucinating fully accepts it as the truth. Since the hallucination exists to that person, they feel no fear nor doubt. Hang on! What if Yuri died in the fire 9 years ago? And we've been hallucinating her ever since. And she can't leave the house? /Labo. Is she a brain ghost? Is she a psychic ghost? Since the hallucination exists to that person, they feel no fear nor doubt. Even though it's a hallucination? Even though it's a hallucination. A flustered Majiro cut in after Salu's firm assertion. Hey, Salu, what's this all of a sudden? Weren't you the one who started this conversation? Salu responded vaguely to Majiro and continued. An example. In 1857, there was an inventor in the French commune of Wissembourg who was trying to create a telephone. It was said to be technically impossible at the time, but he still stepped up to the challenge. 12 years and many hardships passed, and then the inventor finally succeeded, or at least he thought he did. The inventor thought he did? He gathered all the people for a grand unveiling of the telephone's debut. He installed a telephone in the house next door. The neighbor spoke to the inventor through the receiver and said, "Hello, can you hear me?" But at his own house, this is what the inventor heard through the receiver. "Congratulations, you are a grand inventor." The telephone was completely inoperable. That moment, a chill ran down Natsuhiko's spine. That's a spooky story. In short, it's thought that the voice he heard through the receiver was a type of hallucination. Perhaps the inventor had gone mad. In the end, the inventor never once doubted that he had truly invented the telephone. In 1876, when Graham Bell received a patent on the telephone, the other inventor filed a lawsuit saying his invention had been stolen. No way, he was that deluded in his belief? Natsuhiko was reminded of what Yuri had told him about memories last night, but it felt like something was just a little different. But Salu answered with a nod. The brain actively works to rationalize its perceptions and eliminate inconsistencies. This is just an obvious example of that. Depending on the circumstances, the brain will even distort reality. As far as the inventor was concerned, the hallucination was the truth and the real voice was the fabrication. If that's why Natsuhiko sucks at telepathy because he's unknowingly projecting out his Yuri hallucination to everyone else, that's kind of where I'm at, yeah. No matter what those around him said, he never once doubted what he thought to be the truth. And so, Mashiro raised her voice before Salu could finish. "Salu!" Natsuhiko gasped. Mashiro's voice was trembling. "Hey, Salu, please stop. That story's kind of scary." "It is a little scary. I didn't mean to scare you." No, I'm sorry. Please, forget it." "What's wrong, Mashiro? You don't like scary stories?" Yeah. I guess I'm not good with those sorts of stories." Mashiro spoke with a wry smile as she held a finger up to her temple. "That was a pretty good horror story, though, Salu. But if you scare me too much like that, you're gonna make me cry, okay? If you tell stories like that again, I might have to tell on you to Dr. Tenkawa, you hear?" Okay. Salu's face stiffened with those words, because that would be very bad to tell, Tell her handler that she's been misbehaving. Huh. Mashiro medium? Or Mashiro low? Mashiro high. Oh, okay. Salu's face stiffened at those words. Roger, I'll be careful. Please, for real. For real? With a pitiful look on her face, Mashiro glanced at Natsuhiko. Wait, hang on. No, that's not Anna. Anna Tsubakiyama, I believe is her last name. Dr. Tenkawa is Natsuhiko's mom. With a pitiful look on her face, Mashiro glanced at Natsuhiko. What? Was it that scary? I guess even you can act like a girl from time to time, eh? Oh, shut up. I'm okay with ghosts and stuff, which is good, because that'll be relevant, but I'm terrible with psychological horror. Well, that's good to know. So, ever heard of this story? Huh, what story? There was this experiment in America after World War II, meant to test the limits of human madness. I haven't heard that story, but please stop. I've already got a bad feeling about this. First, they attached electrodes to the experimental subject and locked them in a room. I don't want to hear any more. And then, in another room, there was a button you could push to send them an electric shock. This is a horrifying story, but it puts me in mind of the recent study where people were given a button that they were told would give themselves an electric shock, and like 95% of people pressed it out of curiosity. A handful of people pressed it a few times, and then one person pressed it 100 times before the experiment ended. La la la, I can't hear you. Natsuhiko smirked to see Mashiro plugging her ears. Never knew she had such a weak spot. I guess there are some things you don't know about people even after you've been with them for so long. Salu looked on in wonder at Natsuhiko and Mashiro's banter. Throw away your books. Rally in the streets. Oh, we've got protests happening. Okay. I think that scene break is where I'm going to take a break. I'm going to feed the cat and have something to eat, so I'll be back in a few minutes. I'll leave the mic on so you guys can hear the cat. It's coming. Sorry, that took longer than I intended it to, but I had a brain blast. So, everyone who wasn't in a protective suit that was protecting from the psychic radiation could see Yuri, but the two guys who were in the protective suits could not. So Yuri is either being generated by the lab or being broadcast from Natsuhiko's brain. There were no particularly memorable lessons after that. Lunch break ended, and the afternoon classes swiftly came to a close. So suits are bunk, we may as well go about naked for all the good it does us? You misunderstand. The suits were protecting them from the psychic radiation. After school, Natsuhiko stretched and called out to the seat next to him. All right, Mashiro, how about we head... He stopped before he could finish. Salu was staring directly at him. Ah, right, you're coming with us, Salu? Natsuhiko felt an odd sense of tension and distance with her. There was something about her ominous story that bugged him too. It's kind of hard to talk to her. What do I do? What's wrong, you two? Still feeling awkward around each other? Just try to act natural when you talk. Natural. Nah. Wait. Mashiro, what about you? How can you be so calm? Weren't you quivering in fear from Salu's story earlier today? That was hours ago, Natsuhiko. What, still talking about that? You worry too much, Natsuhiko. Or so you say. It was not as if he could lower his guard with the flip of a switch. Far from it. It was only stronger today compared to yesterday. Even if you tell us to talk naturally, it's not like we have any topics in common to talk about. Good grief, that's so antisocial of you. Reach out, listen to different conversational topics. Be polite. Let's see, what can we do about that? Mashiro fell silent to ponder for a second, and then clapped her hands together. Yo, Salu, do you watch cartoons? Okay, let's all go shopping today. Huh? But didn't we just go shopping the day before yesterday? That was grocery shopping. It doesn't count. Salu, you've just moved in, so there's a bunch of stuff you need too, right? No, not particularly. Now. No need to hold back. I mean, it's just so boring to just go straight back home, isn't it? The weather's nice too. Perfect shopping weather. So how about the three of us go shopping? I'll go if Natsuhiko goes. Huh? Natsuhiko jumped at the abrupt answer. Was Salu perhaps trying to lower her guard around him too? If that were the case, it'd mean Natsuhiko was the only one being obstinate. Quite the awkward situation. Well, fine then. Okay, that settles it. Well, here we go. Salu nodded expressionlessly. Natsuhiko nodded with a sigh. And so Mashiro took them to Center Street. Aye, zap! It's the thing you don't want to hear when the utility workers working on your power lines. But still, how'd things turn out like this? As Natsuhiko pondered this turn of events, Mashiro was to his right, enjoying herself. Salu was to his left, sulking. Salu, is there anything you want? Not in particular. Then what did we come here for? Sauve. Yes. Salu High, right? Salu High, got it. Natsuhiko had that thought, but said nothing. He just followed silently wherever Mashiro took him. Have you gotten everything you need for daily life? The professor already bought me the essentials, like a towel, a toothbrush, and underwear. That should be plenty. You live so simply. Even though you seem like a princess. Natsuhiko was surprised to learn about that side of Salu, but that's when he noticed something. Wait a second, what about clothes? Huh? You were wearing your uniform even when you came to the house. Don't tell me those are the only clothes you have. Is that a problem? I knew it. We are talking about Mom here, so I guess she didn't even think about clothes for Salu. Dr. Tenkawa was completely unconcerned about clothing. After all, she spent her days in a lab coat year-round, which made her apathetic about her own body odor and other people's clothing as well. Oh boy, that does sound like something the professor would do. In that case, let's go buy you some clothes, Salu. I have my uniform, so I'm good. That's no good. You're a girl after all. Besides, if you spend all day in your uniform, it's going to get wrinkly and also smell bad. You need clothes to wear while you're washing the uniform at least. But I actually don't have that much money on me. Relax, Natsuhiko's picking up the tab. Am I? Huh? I am? Natsuhiko was terrified to be suddenly volunteered. But that's when Mashiro whispered into his ear. Why not, Natsuhiko? It's just for clothes. I'm sure the professor wouldn't mind, right? Well, I guess. The professor left Natsuhiko in charge of a credit card for times like these. That's what they used to buy groceries, but Natsuhiko still showed day-to-day moderation. Excuse me. But still, Mashiro, usually you're the penny pincher. I guess rare things do happen sometimes. But look, it's just so pitiful to leave Salu with only the clothes on her back. I do actually agree. We should get clothes for Salu. If you're that against it, I don't mind paying out of pocket. I'm fine either way, so what'll it be? Now that Mashiro had gone that far, it was very difficult for Natsuhiko to decline. Fine, I'll pay. Okay, that settles it then. Explain the circumstances to the professor for me, okay? Oh, if she ever talks to me, she'll hear about it. And with that, Mashiro turned back to Salu. Salu, your sponsor's given the go-ahead, so pick out whatever clothes you like. She picks out 14 identical t-shirts and a single pair of jeans. Huh? Okay, if you two insist, then I shall have you make the purchase for me. Her phrasing was odd, but for the time being, it looked like they had reached an agreement for the time being. Odd repetition. Needed to be retranslated, I think. That was a weak reaction. Perhaps clothing was of no importance to Salu. Alrighty, in that case, let's go to that clothing store over there. Mashiro pointed to a nearby store. They're stocked with nice clothes at cheap prices. One look inside, and sure enough, they had racks full of tasteful clothing. I see. Okay, I'll be waiting outside, so you two can... What are you talking about, Natsuhiko? Help us choose! We need to hear a boy's opinion too, right, Salu? Salu High, right? Okay. Please. See? Come on, you too, Natsuhiko. Huh? Hold on now. Wipe that kitty smirk off your face. Mashiro nearly dragged Natsuhiko and Salou into the clothing store. When she smiles, 30 minutes after entering the store. Hey, what do you think about this one? I don't know. Ah, this one's cute too. That is a cute dress. This will be her second flag event, so now I now leave the rest to you. Okay, so what's the deal? If I screw up at all for the rest of the playthrough, I don't get the proper ending, right? So I have to do it correctly. Do you want me to do it on my own and potentially screw up and have to do everything over? I will if you want me to, but tell you if you screw up, and right now you have more than enough for most characters. Okay. Cool. Okay. So I've already gotten the event, right? I don't need to worry about points here. I can just keep them high. Excuse me. In the event right now, I'm going to keep them high. I'm going to save. Yes, I will keep them high. Mashiro was excited. Salou was confused. And from a short distance away, Natsuhiko watched. Natsuhiko, look at this. Isn't Salou super cute? Well, it's so-so, I guess. Oh, and since when were you a fashion critic? Mashiro was a little annoyed at Natsuhiko's non-committal response. But Salou herself muttered in extreme discomfort. Mashiro. This is the 10th outfit. Which one should we go with? You haven't found one you like yet, have you? I really don't know. I want to buy them all, but... Come on, Mashiro. You know that's not going to happen. True. So what about you, Salou? Which do you like best? I'm going to actually put Mashiro mid and Salou high. So we'll go with whatever Salou likes and wants. I can't decide. And what about you, Natsuhiko? Huh? Let's see. Natsuhiko was unfamiliar with fashion, but he still tried to think before answering. I got a point with Salou. I didn't lose a point with Mashiro, right? I just caught that out of the corner of my eye. I saw I got a point with Salou. Salou looks best in that, I guess. Huh? You think so? Yeah, well, sure. I get the feeling she'd look good in anything she'd wear, though. Well, that is true. I'm not sure about that. After a moment of thinking, Salou answered with a sigh. Okay, then let's go with this one. Mashiro seemed extremely happy, but Salou sighed as she spoke. I'm tired. But all things considered, you do seem pretty happy, you know. Does she, Mashiro? That's not true. Oh, actually, that's a little smile. I see a little smile. You sure? You're blushing. Salou said nothing, but... That's when Natsuhiko saw something most curious. A smile upon Salu's Supple lips. Don't call the 13-year-old's lips supple. Ugh. With a smile on her face and cute clothes wrapped around her body, she looked like the epitome of a pure, innocent girl. What's with that? Never expected that reaction. In any case, it appeared that Mashiro's efforts were worth it after all. There's only one more time you can lose a point with a character, but it happens late in the route. Do I have to hit a higher point threshold with the various characters to get the proper ending? Or can I just wing it from now on? In any case, it appeared that Mashiro's efforts were worth it after all. Lost in thought, Natsuhiko found a faint smile forming on his own lips. And after taking care of the bill, he left the store with the two girls. The ending doesn't get affected, but you do need to get a specific amount of points to get everyone's character events. And I have that many points now for everybody? He left the store with the two girls. As they walked through town, Mashiro turned to Salu and mused. Hey, look, Salu. Everyone's turning their heads. She's 13! Salu shyly looked away. Salu had borrowed the dressing room to change into her new clothes right away. And not just her, but Mashiro too. Mashiro took advantage of my credit card? Or did she buy it herself? You don't have enough for everyone, but there's more than enough opportunities to get points. I'll only let you know if you're too low and can't recover. Okay. Wait, why did you have to change too? No, before that. When did you even buy that? Why not? Picking out clothes for Salu got me in the mood to dress up too, see? And naturally, I paid out of my own pocket. How's it look? How's it look? It's an interesting choice. I kind of like it. The gray under the beige, it kind of clashes. It's kind of a weird boundary between the beige and the red. And I think it clashes and doesn't really look good, actually. Like, the design of the shirt is interesting, but I don't think the color scheme works for it. Mashiro, I think you're cute too. Aww. Oh, you flatter me. Your big sis is super happy. With Mashiro patting her on her head, Salu looked just as cute as a typical girl her age. Looks like Mashiro's completely lowered her guard around Salu, huh? But Natsuhiko still had some misgivings. He still recalled what happened the day before yesterday in the back of his head. He remembered seeing Salu, the only one in the sea of onlookers who calmly looked at him instead of the accident. It's bizarre, no matter how I think about it. Isn't it strange for her to look straight at me, and me alone, right after a big accident like that? She seemed like an outsider, coming to disrupt his peaceful days, but perhaps there'd be a reason for that too if he looked back far enough. Besides, even if she did come to protect him, there shouldn't have been a reason to keep an eye on him from that far away. I want a logical explanation. Unless he had that explanation, he wouldn't be able to open his heart to Salu. And so he made up his mind and asked her, "Hey, Salu, got a moment?" "What is it?" "There was an accident here the day before yesterday. You were here back then too, weren't you?" "What about it?" "Huh? Wait, Salu, you were there at the scene of the accident too?" Then that means you saw me panicking too." "Hold off for a second, Mashiro. There's something important I need to say." "She brought the ferret." "Okay." Mashiro gulped and fell silent in Natsuhiko's subdued voice. Sorry. Continue." "Thanks. So, Salu, back then you didn't give the accident a second look. Instead, you looked my way, right?" "Huh?" "All the other onlookers had their eyes on the accident, so why were you alone looking at me?" I mean, it's pretty obvious that she was sent to keep an eye on you, Natsuhiko. It fits perfectly with what she's already told you. "It's been bugging me ever since. Can you tell me your reasons?" Salu silently pondered, and then she spoke with a sigh. "It was just a coincidence that I happened to be at the scene of the accident." "A coincidence?" "Yeah, that day I was walking through the city that I'd soon be living in. And then that accident happened. It's rude to stare at accidents, so I just meant to pass through, but..." "Is it rude? I mean, that's basic human nature." That's when I heard a tremendous voice and stopped in surprise. Oh. The more he thought about it, the more that made sense. Even Natsuhiko himself was surprised at how he had used telepathy. Then, in that case, were you looking for the source of that voice? That telepathy? "Yeah, I was looking around and we happened to make eye contact." "You looked like the professor's son from how she described you, so I thought, could that possibly be him?" "It would be weird to go out of my way to ask you, so I gave up and left. That's all." That is a perfectly sensible sequence of events, actually. Salu quickly explained herself in one breath. "Oh, so that's all. I was wondering why you were acting so strange around Salu. Is that what was on your mind, Natsuhiko?" Well, yeah, I guess it did bother me." Now that the mystery had been solved, the actual answer seemed to be quite trivial. But still, I think anyone would be bothered if they were in my position. "Leave it alone, Natsuhiko. If someone got into an accident before your eyes and then gave you some bizarre warning, and to top it all off, an unfamiliar girl holding some kind of stuffed animal stared at you." Natsuhiko glanced at Salu's stuffed animal. Just then, "It squeaks!" Said stuffed animal made a strange sound. It squeaked? It did it again. Natsuhiko remembered it had done so before. Last night, when he talked to Salu in front of the house, that stuffed animal did indeed squeak. "The thing has been bugging me too. Say, what exactly is that stuffed animal? It seems to squeak from time to time." "It's not a stuffed animal. It's a device called ARMS. Does it detect psychic powers? ARMS? Atmosphere reading mascot system. So you mean it can pick up on moods and stuff? Huh? What's that supposed to mean?" The stuffed animal squeaked again in Natsuhiko's confusion. "Phew. Natsuhiko, this ARMS device just looked at you and made a confused squeak, right?" "Yeah." "It analyzed your voice and facial expression and made the judgment that Natsuhiko is confused. And so it said Q to tell me that. In other words, it's an automatic response device that reads other people's emotions and reacts accordingly." "I see. So it's basically a high-level pet robot then." Pet robots in general had gotten quite popular recently. Natsuhiko had heard that their functionalities had been advancing over the years, so he assumed that this was just one of those advancements. But that sure sounds new. I've never even heard of an emotion reading function, you know? Is that even possible? The emotions people have, the impressions they give, and their atmospheres in their entirety have been a topic of research in computer science since the 20th century. So it's Vibe Check the Ferret. But it wasn't until very recently that those things could be quantified. So this is a cutting-edge device then. Sounds expensive. I understand why you'd want to carry it around with you everywhere. I don't particularly carry it because it's expensive. I carry it because I need it. Because I'm a Vulcan with no emotions. Because you need it? To be honest, I'm very poor at understanding the nuances of people's emotions and facial expressions. It's thanks to this thing that I can finally communicate properly with people. Huh. Really? Is it because you lived in France? Is it hard to understand Japanese facial expressions? Yes, something like that. Something like that, huh? It wasn't France where she lived. That's why I was uneasy about adapting to a new life. But with arms, I think I can somehow manage. So that's how it was. Natsuhiko felt as if he had seen a side of Salu he had never seen before. Oh, this is a bad ending option. She felt uneasy, so I guess she wasn't putting on airs after all. Okay. This is a bad ending choice. Okay. I'm going to keep Salu high. Natsuhiko felt like he finally understood a lot of things. Like why she had seemed so pouty at school. Why the arms device had squeaked when they talked last night, and why Salu reacted the way she did. Oh man, it told her that he was exasperated and wanted nothing to do with the conversation. Poor thing. Oh. Those were all signs of anxiety. That's why she acted that way. Natsuhiko suddenly found himself seeing Salu in a different light. Did I just get a Salu point? I missed it. And at the same time, he felt slightly embarrassed. Now that he thought about it, not once since Salu arrived did Natsuhiko treat her favorably. He just rejected her under the pretense that she was a girl he didn't really understand, which was by no means a good attitude to take. Now you didn't get the bad ending. Ha! I wonder. So, almost all of Before Crisis is Natsuhiko remembering the past week at the prompting of his brain ghost. Is she a mind goblin? I don't think she's a goblin. Well, maybe she's a mind goblin. So I'm wondering if the bad endings are something has gone awry in your memories and you get a game over, or if it cuts to the day of the incident and you die. I guess I'll find out if I get a bad ending. What am I, a kid? Yes, actually, you are a kid, Natsuhiko. After chiding himself and pondering for a moment, he timidly called out to Salu. Say, Salu. What is it? Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for always acting so hostile towards you. Oh, that. It's okay. I don't mind at all. So there's no need for you to be concerned. No, but still, it was really mean of me. I'm sorry. It was still an awkward exchange as ever, but it wasn't unpleasant at all. Something that had been lurking in the depths of Natsuhiko's heart had silently thawed away. And, as if she had sensed that change in Natsuhiko, Mashiro smiled. That's great. We've cleared up all those misunderstandings. So now we can begin our friendship anew, right? Hey, don't say stuff like that. You ruined the mood. But still, I'm impressed, Natsuhiko. You actually apologized. You know, you have to say those things out loud, or nobody will ever know, right? True. It helps if you say what's on your mind. There are some things that arms can't cover for, after all. So is this just an anime character quirk, or is she being implied to be autistic? Okay, I'll keep that in mind as we go forward. He ended up phrasing that awkwardly due to his embarrassment. Mashiro smiled devilishly and then addressed Salu. By the way, Salu, what's this doll's name? Arms. Huh? Like I said, it's Arms. No, that's not what I meant. I meant what's yours name specifically? I mean, you're supposed to give pets names, right? Like Fluffy or Spot, something like that. Putting her on the spot, Mashiro. I never thought about that. Then why don't you name it? It's more endearing to give it a name. If she names it Fluffy or Spot. True, that does sound good, but I can't think of a name. So I'll let you name it, Mashiro. Huh? Me? Are you sure? That's such an important responsibility, though. But you were so quick to decide my nickname. Ooh! That's piercing! Now that's true. Besides, you're good at that sort of thing, aren't you, Mashiro? You're right. Okay, I'll think of a name. Let's see. And she names it Natsuhiko. I know, how about Alice? Alice? Then she says, it's a boy. As in Wonderland? No, not that Alice. The Alice that wrote the sci-fi novel Salu was reading yesterday. Yesterday? Oh, that one she had at school. Now that she mentioned it, Mashiro did appear to have known about the book Salu was reading yesterday. But Mashiro, that's wrong. That book was written by James... Sorry, that's wrong. That was a pen name. The author's real name was Alice. I didn't know that. You're so knowledgeable, Mashiro. So, what do you think? It is a sci-fi kind of item, and it sounds cute, doesn't it? Yeah, I'll use it. Mashiro. Mashiro High. As Salu spoke, she gently stroked her arms device, now known as Alice, on the head. I think it's good too. It sounds cute. Good job, Mashiro. Don't praise me just for thinking of a name like that. You're embarrassing me. Before Natsuhiko had noticed, the somewhat serious mood had been completely cleared away. Yeah, Mashiro's good at that. But you did good. It looks like she likes it too. Ah, shucks. To be honest, I wasn't too sure of it. I'm used to giving people nicknames, but it's been a long time since I named a pet. A pet? Did you have any pets, Mashiro? We did in the past, remember? You, me, and Yuri, too. Oh, are you talking about Sirius? Yeah, really brings you back, huh? Sirius, huh? Interesting. And with that, Natsuhiko recalled a distant memory. It was a story from back when Natsuhiko and Mashiro still didn't get along. One day, Natsuhiko went to the park with snacks in hand. I hope Mashiro's not there. If she is, I'm sure we'll just get into another fight again. He had a bag of biscuits for his snack that day. If Mashiro was there, he thought he'd go show it off. But when he got to the park, are we talking American biscuits or British biscuits? Actually, I could go for some nice American biscuits, to be honest. Oh, that would be so nice, like the ones I had when I was a kid, that my mom would make. Oh, those were so nice. Natsuhiko couldn't believe what he saw. There was Mashiro and a ferocious stray dog. The dog growled and stared at Mashiro. No. What do you want? Go away. Woof! Raw! Raw meat! Somebody save me! Mashiro tearfully pleaded. But there was nobody else around. Noticing that nobody else could save her, Natsuhiko rushed down. Stop! And forced his way between Mashiro and the stray dog. Hey, puppy, don't bully Mashiro. Bow? Natsuhiko? The words spilling out of Natsuhiko's mouth surprised the dog, Mashiro, and even Natsuhiko himself. Natsuhiko, why? I don't know. Thinking on his feet, he declared, She's my rival. So I won't let anybody else have their way with Mashiro but me. That was Natsuhiko paraphrasing the lines of one of the superhero TV shows he was obsessed with at the time. Despite the plagiarism, the assertiveness of the line was enough to overpower the stray dog. As Natsuhiko stared the dog down, Mashiro whispered behind him, Natsuhiko, don't tell me you came to my rescue. I didn't do it for you. I did it out of my heroic obligation. Trying to act tough is cool and all, but what do you plan on doing? I planned ahead. Sure you did, buddy. Yeah, feed the dog a biscuit. Natsuhiko slowly took a biscuit out of the bag in his pocket and tossed it to the dog. The dog whined and proceeded to devour the biscuit. He ate so heartily that he paid no attention to the kids. Okay, here's our chance. Let's get him while he's distracted. Wait, Natsuhiko! Attacking the dog is the wrong play. The dog finished the biscuit in the blink of an eye, and then let out a friendly whine. Huh? He suddenly got all quiet. Maybe he was just hungry? Oh, that's kind of anticlimactic. Natsuhiko's shoulders sank as the dog approached him. What, you want another biscuit? Fine, we'll give you my share too. Here, eat up. Natsuhiko ripped up the biscuit bag and poured it onto the ground. I guess it's better this way so we don't have to fight. A hero's kindness, I guess. Without revealing how relieved he felt, Natsuhiko spoke to Mashiro. Look, it's okay now, Mashiro. But when he turned to look at Mashiro, she's crying. Oh. I was so scared. She suddenly started crying. Hey, don't cry. No matter how much Natsuhiko tried to calm her down, Mashiro kept crying. The dog just kept eating the biscuits beside them. And then, about 5 minutes later, Mashiro finally stopped crying. Hey, you okay now? Yeah. Mashiro looked bashfully at Natsuhiko as she said this. Well... Mashiro mumbled her words. What? If you have something to say, then just say it already. Right as Natsuhiko lost his patience. Woof! The stray dog leapt at Natsuhiko. And then the dog started licking his face. Woof! Ah! What? What are you trying to pull? Maybe giving him that biscuit tamed him? I see. Anyway, stop licking my face. That tickles. Natsuhiko firmly spoke, and the dog obeyed. Perhaps he was a smarter dog than he appeared. Still, you look like you've got promise. Want to be my friend? What an obedient guy. Natsuhiko happily patted the dog on the head. Mashiro spoke gently. He's so cute. No, he's cool, not cute. Cute is weak. Well, I don't care either way. More importantly, he's a stray, isn't he? Well, I guess he is. He doesn't have a collar after all. Then why don't we keep him? No, I can't keep a dog at my place. My mom's got allergies. In fact, she's going to break out into hives when I come home with dog dander all over my shirt. I see. My dad hates animals too. Mashiro thought for a while before clapping her hands together. Then why don't we keep him in this park? We can feed him here. I think we can do that. Let's do it. Natsuhiko approved of Mashiro's plan. It seemed like a pretty good idea. What do we name him? Let's see. I know. How does Sirius sound? Sirius? It's the name of the dog constellation, I think. And it's also the name of our city's rescue squad. The rescue squad, huh? That's cool. Okie dokie. From now on, your name's Sirius. The dog heartily replied as if he liked the name too. Good for you, Sirius. Mashiro smiled at the happy Sirius. As he saw her smile, Natsuhiko remembered the question that had been bugging him. By the way, Mashiro, were you trying to say something earlier? Huh? No, nothing. What? You weirdo. What do you mean, weirdo? Stupid. They turned away from each other in a huff. Oh, you have a dog, Shy. What kind of dog do you have? But starting that day, Natsuhiko and Mashiro's mutual feuding gradually came to an end. Yeah, I almost forgot about that. Well, you got a golden retriever. Cute. Now that he thought about it, he had gotten along with Mashiro ever since that time. They didn't get along at first, but it was an animal that brought them together back then as well. It's almost like the situation now. Natsuhiko looked at Alice. This time, Alice let out a gentle squeak. Alice squeaked again. I've never heard that squeak before. Natsuhiko, what are you thinking now? I was just feeling a little nostalgic. Natsuhiko answered Salu with a smile. Now then, we've still got time. What do you want to do? There's nothing more I need to buy. Natsuhiko thought they should go home in that case, but Mashiro spoke up as if something had crossed her mind. Wait, you two. Is it okay if we stop by the grocery store for just a little bit? Okay. So, going with Salu would get me a Salu point and probably lose me a Salu point. Wait, no. There aren't any point losses for a while. So this is just whether I get points with someone. Okay. Sorry, I was thinking. I will keep Salu high. Huh? But I thought we already stocked the refrigerator. No, I mean, yesterday we only had a plain dinner with the food we had on hand. So I was thinking I should be a little more extravagant tonight as a sort of welcome party for Salu. I see, that sounds good. Now that he thought about it, they didn't have any sort of welcome party. But he was unsure if it was really appropriate to throw one now. So, can I choose what I want to eat? Is this going to be your first time choosing for yourself? Of course. So what would you like, Salu? Biftec. Beef steak. Or steak. Natsuhiko was caught off guard at Salu's vigorous response. You sure know what you want, huh? But still, calling beefsteak bifoteki is such old-fashioned Japanese. You're so ignorant, Natsuhiko. Bifoteki comes from the French le biftec. It means a cut of meat. It's not an abbreviation of beefsteak. What? I never knew that. Anyway, you want to eat beef, right? Yes. So much. Hurry, Mashiro. Let's go now. Oh, she's enthused now. Hold on. Wait for me. Mashiro and Salu ran off. Their exchange was so peaceful, Natsuhiko couldn't help but smile. I guess this is nice. He chased after them as he mused to himself. Natsuhiko felt just the slightest bit of euphoria in this moment. After they finished their shopping, Natsuhiko and the girls rode the bus back home. They then passed through the entryway together. Welcome back. Yuri welcomed them in. I'm back, Yuri. And I'm back too. I'm back. Even Salu timidly replied too. Mashiro smiled in relief before speaking up. Alrighty, let's get to making dinner then. Today we're having a luxurious menu, you know. Should I help? It's okay, it's okay. I'll be fine on my own. Actually, I want to show you just how serious I can get. The kitchen's going to be a battlefield. There's no room for amateurs to drag me down. Okay then, good luck. Just sit tight and wait. And with that, Mashiro went into the kitchen. And after an hour of patient waiting, Mashiro soon lined the table with a smorgasbord of food. Okay, thanks for waiting. French bread with beef liver pâté, shrimp and cocotte, salade de quoi, as well as vichyssoise soup. I would have preferred steak to beef liver pâté. Pâté is turning it into mush and topping something with it, right? I think that's what pâté is. Also, we've got some weird soup with 3 things floating in it. Shrimp on cocotte. I'm presuming that shrimp on cocotte is... I think that's the thing in the middle, the pate on top of bread. Steak seems to be underneath. Yeah, I was going to say that thing in the bottom looks like steak, but she didn't say anything about steak. She listed French bread with beef liver pate, which is the bread in the middle. Salade de croix, which is the salad to the left and close to her. The soup, which is the weird cream of lima bean soup, apparently, and shrimp on cocotte, which there's only one dish left to reference, and that doesn't look like shrimp. Weird. And for the main dish, Chaliapin style biftec. Ah, okay. She just hadn't listed it all. So where's the shrimp? Whoa! Natsuhiko couldn't contain his shout of joy. There were 5 delicious dishes laid out, each with their own unique appearances. Magnificent. Wow, Macharon, you made all this in such a short amount of time? Oh, huh. Have we ever seen Yuri eat? And if we have, is it just a hallucination spawned by Natsuhiko's brain, and in the cleanup they throw food away? Wow, that's just too good to be true. What are you? That's all thanks to daily training and an industrial-grade pressure cooker. We can talk later. Let's just eat already. Roger. Natsuhiko, hurry. Oh, sure. Natsuhiko and Yuri came to the dinner table upon Mashiro and Salu's urging. Now then, let's celebrate our meeting with Salu. Thanks for the food. Thanks for the food. And with their joyous shout, they began their meal. All 3 of us, huh? So Yuri didn't say thanks for the food because she's not eating? Natsuhiko started off with a French bread and liver pate. 1 bite and... delicious. He couldn't help but let a voice of admiration seep out of his lips. The deep taste of the pate and the sweet scent of the bread entwined in a medley of flavor. Natsuhiko couldn't detect the characteristic odor of the liver at all. The cocotte's delicious too. It melts in your mouth. The salad's delicious too. It's salad. Has anybody in the whole world ever thought salad was delicious? It's kind of just a filler food. There to be good for you. Nutritious and all that. Looks like you guys like it. But what I'm most proud of has to be the main dish. I think I've only had liver once. Apparently my response to my mom upon eating it was, "This chicken tastes grosser." Ha! Mashiro gestured towards the biftec. This recipe was apparently devised so that a certain opera singer could savor the beef to the fullest. Oh, I don't think there's any question that Mashiro is real. Like, okay, Natsuhiko is real. Natsuhiko is real, and Salu is real, because they've interacted with people. Mashiro, I think, is real, both because of the cooking, and because we specifically saw her bleeding out at the end of After Days. As a teaser. But Yuri, I think, is not real. Or at least her physical presence isn't real. I think she's a hallucination. Whether there's an actual Yuri intelligence behind it or not, or whether it's Natsuhiko generating her with his mind, I don't know. Also, the way the rescue workers reacted to being told there were 4 people, and they acted like they could see 3 because they asked where the frail girl was. Acting like there were 3, they were only missing 1 person from that number. So, Mashiro is real. It's Yuri that's a hallucination. This recipe was apparently devised so that a certain opera singer could savor the beef to the fullest. It's definitely delicious. Please, feel free to try. Let's see. They each put some of the biftech into their mouths. And their eyes widened. The moment they ate a bite, they felt the savory taste of the mellow meat. Oh, I could go for some beef right now. There's a hibachi place that opened up the next town over that I've gotten to go to once, and it's so close. It's such a good opportunity to get hibachi. I always order chicken and ribeye, no noodles, extra rice. And it is my favorite meal. It's so good. Oh my god. I'm starving. I have to go get some Chinese food after the stream. Yeah, I have, I just got paid $100 bucks by my mom to take care of the cat for the next month. And I can spend a little bit of that on takeout. God, I'm hungry. The moment they ate a bite, they felt the savory taste of the mellow meat. By appearances, it was a simple dish consisting only of cooked beef topped with minced onions. However, the meat was unbelievably tender, allowing a knife to cut through it like butter. And yet, the tenderness came at no cost to the beef's taste whatsoever. With each bite, its meat juices would flow out, spreading savory flavor throughout the entire mouth. Mashiron, it's too delicious. I'm gonna cry. Yeah, this could be the best thing you've ever made. Ho ho ho, just call me Maestro. Mashiro puffed her chest out in pride. Salu fell silent and ate up her biftech in the blink of an eye. Huh, you already done eating, Salu? I guess Salu's got a bigger appetite than you'd expect, huh? She doesn't seem very happy. Salu timidly called out to Mashiro. Mashiro? Huh? What is it? Is there more of this? You sure can eat, Salu. One serving was plenty of food already. No, she's from the West. We eat more here. Well, I don't think she's actually from the West. I think she's from Labo. But I did make another helping of beef since I thought Natsuhiko would want more, but... Salu glanced at Natsuhiko with pleading eyes. Mashiro, give that beef to Salu for me. You sure? Well, of course. I'm not hesitant at all seeing Salu eat like that. Thank you. Alrighty, here it comes. Open wide for the airplane. Hold on a sec. Mashiro gleefully headed to the kitchen. Salu ate her second helping of beef more slowly, making sure to savor each bite. And eventually, she finished eating that helping as well. As they sipped some after-dinner coffee, Natsuhiko and the girls sighed contentedly. Ah, that was delicious. My tummy's so full. I saw the vastness of space. Even Salu spoke incomprehensibly as her eyes drooped. That's great. I made a lot of dishes I've never made before, so I was a little worried. I learned by imitation, but it turned out great. Mashiro tensed her voice as she spoke, causing Salu to tilt her head in confusion. Mashiro, sometimes you seem to change the way you talk. Was that supposed to be a male voice? You called me out so calmly. That's kind of embarrassing, you know? Natsuhiko thought that if it really were that embarrassing, she should have just not said it at all. Regardless, he joined in the conversation. Don't mind that. Mashiro just has this habit of quoting lines from manga and anime. Do you know what those are, Salu? Do you want to watch some anime? Man, I'm so ashamed, but I can't help it because I love that stuff. What about you, Salu? I've heard that manga and anime are popular in France. True. So what about you, Salu? Huh? Do you have any interest in manga or anime? They asked, even though it didn't look likely. Salu thought for a second before answering. I haven't watched or read either, but I do read novels. Oh, that's right. You were even reading a book in the classroom, right? What kind of novels do you like? Sci-fi. Yeah, me too. Sci-fidelity? Science fiction. I particularly like the ones from the last century. Huh, didn't think you were into that kind of thing. I've read some of those too. Just the juvenile-ish ones, though. Like the ones by Alice? Yeah, she's just about the only author I can talk about. Mashiro grinned, and after a short second or two, Salu smiled back. You say interesting things. What's that supposed to mean? It's fun to talk about things you like with other people who like the same thing. Right, Salu? Yeah. I feel a little left out. Well, it's your fault for not reading manga or watching anime or reading sci-fi novels. Natsuhiko smiled despite his complaint. Oh, right. Yuri, are there any sci-fi novels you'd recommend? I don't read that much sci-fi, but there is one book that I've read several times. By which you mean Natsuhiko's read it several times with his brain. What's that? It was a story about telepaths written before the Grand Communicator discovery. Sudden static on the screen, and she turns to me seriously. Oh, I know about that one too. Me too. It was a novel written more than a half a century ago that still somewhat managed to predict today's society after the appearance of communicators. Its foresight and detail gave it a second wind in popularity, such that almost all kids in Natsuhiko's generation had read it at least once. Did you know about it, Salu? It's a Japanese sci-fi novel. Salu nodded when Mashiro told her the title. Of course I know that one. The last chapter was very beautiful. Okay, so are they talking about a real novel, and they're just not mentioning it to avoid copyright? Or is this not... Are they not naming the novel because they didn't world build that? Speaking of the last chapter, it had a famous quote, didn't it? Lord in heaven, why did you create us telepaths? After Yuri quoted the book in a theatrical tone of voice, Mashiro eventually smiled and took over from where she left off. Was it meant as a test for humans and for telepaths to see if we could reach an understanding? And after a short pause, Salu contributed. If that is the case, O Lord. And finally, Natsuhiko concluded. Then we have failed you. And as they took turns reciting such sad lines, they all smiled at each other. Looks like we finally found a topic we all have in common, huh? We really got into it, huh? It all just seemed to click. We managed to get a reaction out of that. I guess unlike the quote, we succeeded in understanding each other, huh? Even Yuri and Salu seemed to share in the harmonious conversation. Mashiro sighed in relief to see that. Mashiro seemed like she was trying to mediate Salu's relationship with not just Natsuhiko, but with Yuri too. Natsuhiko also tried to help a bit. Yuri really likes books. I'm sure she's got tons of recommendations for you if you want to try something besides sci-fi. So what do you think? Sounds interesting. Then I'll choose a recommendation and lend it to you, okay? In that case, since we're doing recommendations and all, maybe I should try a sci-fi novel? What do you recommend? I don't know if you'd find them interesting, but... Salu listed several of her favorite authors and titles. Okay, I'll try to read some of that. You read some too, Natsuhiko. Huh? Why me too? Think of it as a way to understand Salu. If you know what someone likes, you'll know what's on their minds. Is that a quote? Nah, that's just my mantra. I've got several recommendations too, so I'll bring those over to this house for now. So if I finish those, I'll understand what's on your mind, Mashiro? Of course. Like my favorite anime, Beyond Beyond. Salu listened intently to Mashiro's otaku talk. Yuri smiled as she listened in. That's good. Looks like things are going along swimmingly. He was expecting conflict, but instead he got a friendly atmosphere filling the room. It looked like his worries about Yuri's emotional scars were unnecessary, just like Mashiro said. In stark contrast to yesterday, today felt quite comfortable. It was the strange euphoric feeling he had felt earlier when they were coming home from shopping, but... That's when Natsuhiko finally realized the true form of that feeling. Buying ingredients, going home, sharing a delicious dinner, and having a fun conversation afterwards. Family! Those were all things a family did. Those were things the Tenkawa household had lost long ago, when his father had passed away and his mother became too busy to leave work. Natsuhiko felt like those things had returned. Perhaps all they needed was the addition of a younger child like Salu. If you looked at the bigger picture, it almost looked like they were playing house. But Natsuhiko began to feel comfortable with that nonetheless. I'm so selfish, aren't I? Natsuhiko smiled bitterly at his own change in mentality as he joined in on the conversation. The trifling small talk continued, and before they realized it, it was already past 10 p.m. Yuri started to doze off. Natsuhiko hesitated before speaking. Mashiro, it's about time for you to head home, don't you think? Huh? Oh, would you look at the time? I want to talk just a little more, though. But your parents will worry, won't they? Besides, we can see each other again tomorrow. Oh wow, a dialogue choice. I guess you're right. Mashiro. I'm gonna say Mashiro High. Mashiro High School. Okay, well, I guess I'll head home for today then. Okay, Natsuhiko, Salu, Yuri. See you tomorrow. Later, Masharon. Yeah. Mashiro point. Let me see you out to the entrance at least. Huh? You're the one asking this time? Well, okay, I guess. Mashiro agreed to Natsuhiko's suggestion. Once they were out at the entryway, Natsuhiko talked to her. Mashiro, thanks for everything today. Huh? What's with the formalities? Well, you helped me and Salu open up to each other, right? I guess, though I might have just been meddlesome. But it was a good call to throw a welcome party. Eating delicious food together really helped to soften the mood. Food has a mysterious power, at times one even stronger than BC when it comes to bringing people together, I guess. Mashiro grinned in embarrassment, prompting Natsuhiko to strain a laugh. Either way, I'm sure the man who marries you would be blessed. He'd get to eat food like this every day. Let's see if Mashiro has a crush on Natsuhiko. What's that? A hackneyed pickup line? That's so not your thing, so please cut it out. I guess not. Nah, it's not a pickup line. You just kind of made me want to say that today. You're so on the fence. Well, if you're going to praise my cooking, I'll accept that. Mashiro easily sidestepped Natsuhiko's banter. It's because he knew she would do that Natsuhiko could joke like that. Either way, a future like that's just unimaginable, huh? Well, anyway, thanks. I need to thank you properly before long, too. Yeah, I'll look forward to it. Well, see you tomorrow, then. Yeah, see you tomorrow. And with their exchange of farewells, Natsuhiko went back inside. The living room without Mashiro was silence itself. Yuri fell asleep. Yuri was asleep on the sofa. Salu seemed sleepy too as she spoke to Natsuhiko. Okay, Natsuhiko, I have my daily routine, so I'm going back to my room. That reminds me, you said that yesterday too. What kind of daily routine? Studies? I hope not studies, because she's got 8 hours to sleep if she goes to bed right now. She's got less than 8 hours to sleep. Strength training? Huh? Strength? Huh? That's another one of your hobbies. More of a habit than a hobby. I haven't missed a single day in years. I need to do it every day or I get restless. I see. Got in the habit when you were being trained by the Labo people? I see. Salu's personality was one surprise after another. So you're trained in both literary and military arts, huh? That's amazing. It's not that big of a deal. Bye. Salu hurriedly started to leave the living room. But she stopped in front of the door to the hallway and whispered, Natsuhiko, are you good at reading the mood? I will keep Salu high. Huh? What's this all of a sudden? I'm not good at it, so I'm not sure about this, but it looked to me like everyone had fun today. Did you have fun, Natsuhiko? I did. Huh? Well, of course. Did you have a bad time, Salu? No. I had a lot of fun, too. Aw, look at her happy expression. Finally breaking through that ice. If only we could keep on having days like this. What are you saying? Of course we will. Okay, I'll look forward to that. She's going to hold you to that, Natsuhiko, so that means beefsteak every night. That's all Salu said before she left the living room. Natsuhiko just stared blankly at the closed door. Did you have fun? Natsuhiko was surprised at how bluntly Selu asked about emotions. Could this girl actually be a lot more honest than she lets on? Natsuhiko still didn't quite understand Selu, but his interest in her gradually grew and grew. He kept his guard up around her yesterday, but right now he felt he wanted to get along with her even more. I wonder if we can get along. I wonder if things will work out. Well, I guess Mashiro is trying to bring us together and all. They had different cultures and personalities, so it seemed like a difficult task. But he felt that if they could clear away the walls they built up in their hearts, they could somehow manage to get along. Yeah, I had fun too. As Natsuhiko sighed, he heard a voice from behind him, and static blared across the screen. What's going on? Natsuhiko turned back to see a sleepy-eyed Yuri looking back at him. Oh, Yuri, did I wake you up? No, it's okay. I could catch a cold if I slept here anyway. True, it's best to sleep in your own room. Okay. Yuri tottered to her feet and started to stagger towards her room. Or rather, she started heading to an empty wall instead of the door. Yuri, are you still half asleep? Don't me. Your room's this way. Okay. Excuse me. I'm going Yuri high. Don't me. Wake up. Without responding, Yuri fell onto Natsuhiko for support. Good grief. Again? This was a common occurrence. Fine, excuse me. Onto his shoulders? And each time this happened, Natsuhiko would carry Yuri like a princess. I'm floating. Jeez, I'd hardly call it floating. Yuri continued talking in her sleep as they left the living room. They went through the hall towards Yuri's room. Come on, Yuri, here's your room. No matter how much he called out to her, she wouldn't get up at all. Wait a sec, I'm probably spoiling her too much. But he'd have been lying if he said he disliked it. Ooh, yellow choice. You know what? Huh. Let's wake her up. Hang on, I'm going to save. Let's wake her up. Yuri low. Natsuhiko hesitated for a moment before opening the door to Yuri's room. Pardon the intrusion. Natsuhiko carried Yuri to her bed and laid her down. And then he looked down on Yuri from up above. Even as he looked at her in such a defenseless state, he harbored not a single improper thought. Natsuhiko was unable to see Yuri as a mature-bodied woman. Even though he was a healthy high school boy, he had never felt any lust at all towards Yuri, who is a figment of his imagination. What I do feel is a desire to protect her, I guess. And not just because they were raised almost like family. Perhaps it was because of the accident 9 years ago where she perished, or perhaps it was because of her personality. He didn't understand, but he didn't mind. And that was why they were able to live together without any problems whatsoever. Good night, Yuri. Natsuhiko whispered to Yuri, almost in the same way one would whisper to a sister. Obviously, there was no guarantee that these days would never end. Recommend reloading to that last choice? Yeah, figured. Alright, Yuri, hi. He'd have been lying if he said he disliked it. Opening Yuri's room. The intrusion. Here, sleep somewhere warm. As Natsuhiko spoke, Yuri wrapped herself up on her futon and spoke. Hikuri, before you go to sleep, read me a bedtime story. Huh? A bedtime story? Are you a kid? It should be fine every now and then, right? Yuri spoke like a child wanting to be pampered. What's going on? She's really acting like a child today. Natsuhiko answered, a little confused. Okay, what should I read? I'll let you choose, Hikari. Natsuhiko chose a suitable-looking picture book off the bookshelf. She has picture books? She's 18. And well-read. Okay, let's begin then. Yay! Natsuhiko opened the book and started reading the dedication. All grown-ups were once children, although few of them remember it. As he read, Natsuhiko soon noticed something. Long ago, Yuri had badgered him to read this very same book. When was that? Eventually, the door to Natsuhiko's memories opened. It was a memory from nearly 10 years ago, when she was alive. About a month after he had met Yuri. That day, Natsuhiko went to play at the park like he always did. And he saw Yuri all by herself again. She was sitting on the grass reading a book. Huh, Yuri? All by yourself again? Yeah. Yuri was shy and perhaps hadn't made any friends besides Natsuhiko. It was already past 5. Mashiro and the other kids were probably already going home. You're out this late, Yuri. I didn't know you were such a bad girl. Yeah, I'm a bad girl. Yuri smiled wryly as she admitted to her crime. Well, since we're both here, why don't we play together? Sure. Let's play. Let's play. What do you want to do? It's a little boring to play tag with just the two of us. Then how about we read a book together? Huh? But books are boring. Untrue. But this one is a very good story, you know? Yuri spoke gently, yet it didn't seem like she'd take no for an answer. Natsuhiko reluctantly agreed. Fine, let's read together then. Yeah, okay, you get the princess part, Natsuhiko. Huh? Part? I'll play this person's part, so we both get to read lines. Doesn't that sound like fun? That kind of makes it seem like a play. Okay, let's do that. Natsuhiko's interest was piqued just a little bit as they began to play in accordance with Yuri's suggestion. All grown-ups were once children. although few of them remember it. It was a somewhat fantastical story, like a picture book. Natsuhiko seldom read books, but thanks to the mysterious plot and charming characters, he was quite drawn into the story. Time just passed them by as they continued reading, absorbed in their book. As they reached the end of the story, the park was starting to get dark. They read their characters' lines with the help of the illumination from the street posts. The stars are beautiful. Natsuhiko responded to Yuri's line with his character's line. The stars are beautiful because of a flower that cannot be seen. All the stars are abloom with flowers. Is this why Salu was asking him about the stars? What makes the desert beautiful is that somewhere it hides a well. Tonight it will be a year. My star, then, can be found right above the place where I came to Earth a year ago. Yes, I know. Yuri read that far before suddenly sinking into silence. Huh? Yuri? When Natsuhiko called her name, Yuri's head jumped up in surprise. And then she looked at Natsuhiko and continued. It's time to say goodbye, isn't it? Natsuhiko nodded at the line. He got completely into character and answered, Time soothes all sorrows. You will always be my friend. You will want to laugh with me. Oh man, the fact that she's dead and he always wants to be her friend. Ah. And you will sometimes open your window, and your friends will be properly astonished to see you laughing as you look up at the sky. What are you trying to say? Where I live, everything is so small that I cannot show you where my star is to be found. But remember, what is essential is invisible to the eye. In one of the stars I shall be living. In one of them I shall be laughing. And so it will be as if the stars were laughing when you look at the sky at night. My star will just be one of the stars for you. And so you will love to watch all the stars in the heavens. They will all be your friends. Yes, I know. Yuri smiled sadly as she recited her line. Her smile was more ephemeral than the light of all the stars twinkling in the sky. And thus the story came to a close. Natsuhiko and Yuri closed the book and smiled at each other. Man, that sure was interesting. Yeah, we read all the way to the end. But thanks to that, it's so dark outside now, I bet my mom's going to be angry at me. True, we better head home soon. Yuri spoke softly. Should I walk you home, Yuri? No, I can walk home by myself. Okay, let's split here then, I guess. Natsuhiko grinned as he spoke. Time soothes all sorrows. You will always be my friend. When you want to laugh with me, open your window and come to the park. Nah, just teasing. Yuri softly laughed at Natsuhiko's joke. Thank you, Natsuhiko. Let's play again together sometime. Yeah! And with that exchange of words, the two of them parted ways. Natsuhiko looked back just once to see Yuri's back fade into the twilight. That's what Natsuhiko recalled as he read the book. I see, so this is the book from back then, huh? He read this book many times back then, but he hadn't read it ever since he grew up. You are not grown up yet, Natsuhiko. As he basked in nostalgia, he happened to look at Yuri. And before he had realized it, she had closed her eyes. Oh, asleep already? And he's going to look down at his watch. With a wry smile on his face, Natsuhiko reshelved the book. I wonder if Yuri remembers what happened back then. Well, she shares your brain, so she shares your memories. Natsuhiko looked at her sleeping face as he wondered that. even as he looked at her in such a defenseless state, he harbored not a single improper thought. Unable to see Yuri, he never felt any lust. Who feels a desire to protect her, raised almost like family. An accident 9 years ago. He didn't understand, but he didn't mind. And that was why they were able to live together without any problems whatsoever. Good night, Yuri. Natsuhiko whispered to Yuri, almost in the same way one would whisper to a sister. Obviously, there was no guarantee that these days would never end. Things have been changing since Salu came. Our current way of living might change little by little too. Perhaps one day, Yuri would finally be able to leave this house. Will she? Perhaps Mashra would get a boyfriend and stop visiting too. But change doesn't have to be immediate. As long as these days were to continue, Natsuhiko wanted to keep spending time like this. Natsuhiko pondered that desire as he began to leave Yuri's room when... Static! Yep, they won't continue. A voice echoed forth in the dark room. Huh? When he turned around, Yuri was up and looking at him. Everything changes. These days won't continue forever. The nature of change is that by the time you notice it, it's already progressed considerably. That was the case even today. Your sentiment towards Salu changed considerably in the span of one day, didn't it? She spoke clearly and firmly, as if her half-asleep mumbling had been an act. Natsuhiko felt a hint of fear to see Yuri like that. Hey, Yuri. What's been going on with you lately? What do you mean? I mean, you usually don't say things like that. And she'd said things like that every day these past few days. And are her symptoms getting worse? But when she was with Salu, Yuri seemed like she was having fun. Natsuhiko had essentially no idea of what her mental state was like. What do you mean these days won't continue? Does something give you that impression? No, nothing gives me that impression. It's just that it's only natural. Yuri hung her head as she spoke. And there are other things you will lose along with your peace. You... Ominous! Okay! Which is exactly why you should treasure what you've got. Because they should be able to guide you, Hikarin. With each quiet word Yuri spoke, doubt rose and rose in Natsuhiko's heart. Yuri, what in the world do you... As Natsuhiko voiced that question, Yuri merely pointed to his wristwatch silently. When he looked at the watch, it was broken. The dial was cracked, and it was stopped on 9:16 at 6:19. Again? When did this watch break? Today should be September 12th. So why was it stopped at September 16th? No, wait. Is today really September 12th? The moment Natsuhiko made that realization, his sight blurred and everything warped before his eyes. All of them, September 16th. Natsuhiko came to his senses. Where am I? Right before his eyes were two rescue squad members collapsed on the floor. Reusing the art from the charred corpse one, as well as Salu, the one who put them there. Natsuhiko, Mashiro, and Yuri looked at the situation in awestruck surprise. Calm down. This is no time to space out. Why would Salu kick down some rescue squad members? Natsuhiko was horribly confused. But the answer to his question lied in what he had just been seeing. It's lay, not lied. No, hold on. Salu's working to protect us. I should be able to trust her. In that case, the fact that Salu kicked these guys down means... Electricity ran through Natsuhiko's spine. He then realized exactly who those people were. Mashiro, these guys are no rescue squad members. Huh? They're the ones who attacked us at that abandoned factory last night. The moment Natsuhiko said that, one of the collapsed men glared at him. You'd have been better off not noticing that. We should have put you through a little more pain back then. It was a mistake to show you mercy. This time, we're going to shut you up for sure. And with that, the man lunged towards the kids. Then Salou stepped forward ever so slightly. Ha! Grabbed the man by the arm and hurled him to the ground. The man shoulder rolled safely back to his feet and lunged at Salou once more. As she readied to counter him, Salou shouted, Natsuhiko! Mashiro! Run! What about Yuri? Salou? I'll get rid of him. The other one's fainted, so I can manage one-on-one combat. Then let me help. No, Natsuhiko, you guys will only drag me down. I can't deal with a hostage situation if they get you. You guys go find an exit. If you find one, contact me through telepathy. Hesitation wormed its way into Natsuhiko's mind. Mashiro grabbed him by the arm and said, Natsuhiko, let's just do what Salou says. We'd only get in her way. Hikari, Salou will be okay by herself. Mashiro and Yuri were right. Salou didn't mention Yuri. Natsuhiko shouted to shake off his frustration. Salou, it's a promise. We will get out of here, together. We'll find an exit and wait for you, okay? And then he turned back and ran off with Mashiro and Yuri. Let's head to the inner ring. There are supposed to be emergency staircases there. In accordance with Mashiro's proposal, they headed through the passageway. As they ran, Natsuhiko pondered to himself. In any case, why did I remember the past again? I'm spending more time lost in thought than I am in the present. Just a moment ago, he was recalling a detailed account of the events of September 12th. Why does this keep happening? Okay, so there will be chapters for the 13th, the 14th, and the 15th, and then a chapter for the 16th. And then my guess is that there will be a third route that unlocks. That takes place after days and deals with Natsuhiko and Watase moving forward. Why does this keep happening? There was something clearly strange about it. Was he really just recalling his memories? Suddenly, he remembered the words Salou had said that day. The brain actively works to rationalize its perceptions and eliminate inconsistencies. This is just an obvious example of that. Depending on the circumstances, the brain will even distort reality. Natsuhiko was taken aback as he remembered those words. Don't tell me what I saw was another type of hallucination. Just a few days ago, Natsuhiko was enjoying peaceful days with those around him. But now they were running for their lives. It was no exaggeration to say Natsuhiko regretted that fact. He probably wanted to return to those peaceful days. So perhaps he had run away into his memories as a means of escaping from reality? Would my brain just automatically do that on its own? But even if that were the case, it wouldn't change reality at all. Natsuhiko glanced at his watch. It was stopped on 9:16 at 6:19, the time it broke due to the impact of an explosion, so we're not going back yet. If every time his recollections would end, he'd catch sight of his watch. as if it were trying to pull him back to reality. Is it my brain commanding me to face reality? Is the command to face reality conflicting with the instinct to run away from it? The answer would be obvious if that were the case. He had to face reality, or they would almost surely die. No, I get the feeling that wouldn't be the end of it. Ever since I started recalling these memories, they always ended. As Natsuhiko pondered, he glanced at Yuri, but he snapped out of it when Mashiro spoke up. Look, an emergency staircase! Wait, I'll go check if it's safe first. And with that, Natsuhiko entered the stairwell. The stairs were safe, but as soon as he started to go up those stairs, he heard a sound from up above. Ah! When he looked up, he saw someone in a protection suit. Another one of them. Crap, if he gets to Salu. Natsuhiko suddenly raised his voice. Hey, you! Over here! Over here! The figure hesitated for a second before rushing towards the kids. The kids turned around and rushed down the stairs. They ran down all the way to the second basement floor and flew out of the stairwell. Okay, I have to voice this gripe. This shot, this background is of a top floor. At the top of the stairs. And it even showed stairs down to the left before it zoomed in. Damn it, how many of them are there? The staircase leading to the surface was already enemy territory. They felt a presence chasing after them. What now, Natsuhiko? Where can we run? The broadcast said there are staircases outside of Area 2 that are still okay. So let's head to Area 3. We should be able to escape from there. But which way is Area 3? This way. I'll lead you. Right, she would know. I wonder if this is Natsuhiko generating a Yuri hallucination, or if this is actually Yuri's ghost parasitizing Natsuhiko's brain. They slipped through the passageway. And headed toward the Area 3 inner ring emergency staircase. But it didn't look like they could escape from there either. The segment connecting the first and second basement levels was okay, but the segment leading up from there to the surface level had been blown up. Damn it, here too? Natsuhiko, over there. We haven't looked at the stairs over there yet. Yeah. They started running again after Mashiro shouted. And thus they headed to the last staircase in Area 3. Please be safe. Natsuhiko prayed as they opened the door to the stairwell. The staircase was safe. Nothing was broken at all from the bottom of the second basement level all the way to the surface. Thank goodness, now we're in the clear. Right as Mashiro rejoiced. It exploded! The bombs went off. Someone set us up the bomb. A blast of flames surged up before their very eyes. Watch out, you two. And we all got singed. Natsuhiko covered the girls as they hid in the corner of the stairwell. They felt a wave of heat blazing over their heads. Ugh, Yuri, Mashiro, you two okay? The girls answered him with trembling voices. I'm okay, but... The staircase. Ah. As he turned to look, Natsuhiko saw the wreckage of the staircase following the explosion. Now they couldn't even go up to the first basement level from here. And then a broadcast rang out for the nth time that day. Staircases have almost all been destroyed, but Areas 5 and 6's staircases are still intact. All personnel in the facility, please evacuate immediately. Area 5? Natsuhiko groaned. They had left Salu in Area 2. Running to Area 5 would put quite a distance between them. What should we do? Should we head to Area 5? No, in that case, I'd rather... Before Natsuhiko could finish, Yuri raised her voice. Ah, static! No, Hikarin, remember what it is you need to do. What is your duty? There's something you need to do first, remember? Unlike her usual self, Yuri was dead serious. That's... I thought I told you back on that day, too. Hikarin, the people you should look out for are... Yuri's words cut out at that moment. In the sudden silence, the sole sound of a ticking watch rang out. Back on that day, huh? On that day when things got awkward between us all. Natsuhiko already knew exactly what time and date his watch would display. As he looked at his watch, it read 9:13 at 6:49. Gotta go back in time. Okay. I think that's a good place to stop. Unless, actually, are we about to do a chapter boundary, Shy? Because I kind of thought that would be a chapter boundary. If we're not about to hit a chapter boundary, I'm going to stop here. Because this is a really good stopping point. If we are about to hit a chapter boundary, I will press forward until we hit the chapter boundary. You're about to hit the boundary. Okay. Natsuhiko started that morning with an impact to the throat. What? What's going on? Natsuhiko jerked up and looked around. And that's when he noticed Salu was standing beside his bed. Wait, Salu, did you do that just now? Yes, I woke you up with a chop to the throat, like an asshole. Mashiro said, Natsuhiko won't wake up unless you do this. Oh, God damn it, Mashiro. Salu, I'm sorry to say it, but she was pulling your leg. Please, just wake me up normally next time. Okay, I will if you say so. Thanks a bunch. I'll go change now, so go on ahead to the living room. Roger. Salu left Natsuhiko's room. As he watched her leave, Natsuhiko pondered to himself. I get the feeling Salu showed up in my dream, but I guess it was just my imagination. To dream about a girl he just met made it seem like he was obsessed with her. Me? Obsessed with a little girl like that? Impossible. Natsuhiko quickly changed and left his room, somewhat embarrassed. There we go. September 13th chapter. 3 days until the incident. Alright. That's where we're going to end for today. Ha! Interesting theorizing today. Interesting theorizing today. We have determined that Yuri is a mind goblin. And I wonder if Salu can see her. Yeah, Mind Goblin D's nuts. I wonder if Salu can see her. Because she didn't address Yuri when she told us to run. I got you. I have never landed that on someone before. Now I see why people do it. I am actually calling her a mind goblin, though. Because that's what I call brain ghosts sometimes. I'm sorry for laughing at you, but... oh, I've never done that to somebody before successfully. You're laughing too? Oh, thank goodness. Earlier when they were discussing books, Salu didn't reply until Natsuhiko said something about it. Ooh. I just see God fucking damn it in chat. Oh, I'm going to be riding that high for the rest of the day. Alright, that's where we're going to end for today. Interesting theories today. Very interesting. We're making progress. So yeah, I'll read my schedule and get off. Before I do, I would like to plug my Patreon, which you can find at patreon.com/LoreweaverStreams. You can also find the link in the description of the YouTube video, or with the ! Patreon command in Twitch chat. I make my living off of Patreon. It's my sole source of income. And I make enough to pay my rent and my bills. I make about $700-800 a month working full-time on this. But I'm really just scraping by with that amount beyond the rent and bills. And I'd really like some stability, some savings for medical emergencies, for if I need to replace stuff, even just to spend a little from time to time. And I haven't had that for a very long time. So if you could go to my Patreon and pledge $1 a month, or $1 per stream, or anything in between, pledge a bunch per stream if you really want to change my life. There's even a slot open right now where you can pick a game for me to play once a month. So grab that before it goes away. I'd be grateful. I'm grateful to everybody who pledges, because you're the reason I have this strange, silly job that I love so much. If it weren't for you guys, I would still be a telemarketer, or a burger flipper, or some other equally horrible, soul-sucking job. So, thank you. As for the schedule, tomorrow will be Root Double Before Crime After Days for a patron. Saturday, we'll be finishing Stormblood in Final Fantasy XIV. Sunday, we'll be playing Crosscode for a patron. Monday, we'll be playing The Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky 2nd Chapter for a patron. Tuesday will be The Somnium Files for a patron. Wednesday will be The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask for a patron. And next Thursday will be 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim for a patron. So that's what's coming up. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching. And I will see you next time.